What is up, YouTube? My Cowboys family here, bringing you guys the latest update on our very own Dallas Cowboys. And of course, as always, thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Take a second, hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, follow us anywhere and everywhere at My Cowboys Family, and of course, hop in the Discord. The link for that's in the description box down below.
Yeah, we took a loss, 1-1. We had 2 days to kind of recoup from that. We're going to kind of finish up some of the recap and then turn the page to the new team there, the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, so we'll talk about that more, baby. But why don't you get it going here tonight before the recap, we got to get some things figured out. A new week, some new winners, some old winners.
That's right.
And some ballers in the house, like the great and one and only Chill Pill.
That's right.
The takeover.
We are chilling with Chill Pill. Thank you so much. They are currently our sponsor of the week and the membership gifting queen.
Hell yeah. First time we had a queen
Yes.
in the membership gifting side. Thanks for big shout outs to Chill Pill, who usually rocks it out on the After Dark session, but she's got that side of the board. We also got the Cash App side with Jet Li 44 reigns supreme and Marco Seppian with 50 points right in the middle point with the stream boss. Big shout outs to everybody repping it this week. The new board, the new week starting up. Of course, no gifted membership leader currently. And also, even though Jet Li got it last week, there's currently no leader in the Cash App. But there is an overall leader right now, and that's because of the memberships. Big shout out to Roy Strasner, an alpha male pimp, tied for currently in a Navy Blue crew, and tied for first place on the overall board as we're just starting off a new week. Of course, there's ways of dropping the love here and helping out the channel, donating, whatever. Different ways to be part of it, interact with the MCF experience. One of those ways is the super chat. Of course, you see right there in YouTube. There's also the thanks button after any stream or any video. You can drop love there, show love there. You will be put on that board. Of course, memberships like we just shouted out. You get in the membership. You also got on that leaderboard and the gifting memberships, which we have extra love for that side. If you gift memberships, once you're in the membership, you can gift memberships. But that's the YouTube side. There's 4 ways to help support the channel on the outside of the YouTube world, baby.
Well, we have, of course, the Cash App, money sign My Cowboys Family, the Venmo at My-Cowboys-Family, the regular PayPal link, and last but not least, that Streamlabs link, which lets your comments show up on screen, just like a super chat does.
That's right. And don't forget, just had our most recent August Star and Over Everything level membership monthly jersey raffle. We got September's in tow here in the way. And the first weekly winner announced already is Chill Pill, of course, who will be representing with a bonus raffle entry. Every star level member gets 1. Over Everything level members get 2. And guess who's in the Over Everything level? Yeah, Chill Pill. So she's got 2 in there. Plus, she's already week 1 week. That's 3 entries she has. Star level has 1. Over Everything has 2. And if you're in the weekly winners, you don't have to be in the membership. If you just win, if you happen to be, Joe Blow from Idaho and you win, and your name is also thrown into the mix for the monthly jersey raffle for the month of September we're doing right now. Of course, that'll be done sometime in the beginning of October. Just want to shout out. But we also got to shout out those that represent the Star and Over Everything level, and we do that on the nightly, one of the main perks here at MCF. And baby, what are they? Who are the people in the Star and Over Everything levels?
Thank you very much, of course, to Skeptical Fan, Jet Li 44, Lincoln Kane, John Luna, and Over Everything,
Ooh.
Chill Pill.
You knew that was coming, guys. You knew it. Big shout out to all you guys. New week. We'll see what happens here, but we're going to talk Cowboy football in a minute. First, I want you to hit the chat, baby, and who's in the house tonight with us?
Of course. Shout out to Jarrah Jones.
Jarrah.
What's up? Hello and hi. Dustin Roberts, much love. The man Jet Li 44 representing. Happy birthday.
Hey, big shout out to our man
Hope
Jet
you
Li,
have
the Cash App King, right?
Mm-hmm. Hope you have a great birthday there.
Yes, happy birthday wishes, the man Jet Li. I'll see you after dark. Wish you some more HBs. Happy birthdays.
Yes, of course. Rolando Rodriguez, hello and hi. What's up? We have Ramesh Subranaham.
That's
Hopefully I said
call
that right.
Ram, the Ram Man in the house.
Oh, there you go, Ram Man. Rolling back a little more. Frank Moyer, what's up? Hello and hi. Daniel Beer Sports Highlights, much love. MCF After Dark, who's that?
I think After Dark is out there too, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, sorry, I had to make my little joke there. We have Ronan the Voice, what's up?
Yeah,
hello
Ronan.
and hi. See, now I just want to go back. Antoine Scott, what's up? Double R representing. Freedom first, not first today. You see, Tom, always go Cowboys.
Always. No matter what. No matter what.
Skeptical fan always staying skeptical.
That he is. That he is. And he needs to be as a Cowboy fan.
You see, that's as far back as I can go. Let me come back down. Yeah, I think we did all the shout-outs here. So,
well, we got a relatively longer stream tonight, so let's get it rolling. Hope you guys stay on tune, caught up with us. And if for some reason you want us to shout you out, oh, there's a way. Shout you out or read a comment you have about our Cowboys and go a little more in detail about your comment. You can always drop a super chat, and that catches our attention, the 2, the 5s, and beyond. But now we got a gifted membership right here, which means that Jet Li 44 is in the lead when it comes to gifting memberships. I'll update that in a minute. He's also up on that board, tied in a 3-way tie right now for first place. What a Jet Li. Who got the lucky gifted membership, baby?
Congrats to Ronan the Voice. The lucky winner there. Make sure to drop him if you got him.
Yes. Truly appreciate you, Mr. Jet Li 44. And again, big shout outs to Ronan the Voice with the congrats on that side when it comes to that gifting board. So I'm sorry. Was anybody else there, baby? Because we're gonna get rolling here in a minute. But I know, and I think I was about to get started. But I want to make sure I get the shout out to Jet Li 44, and of course add him onto the board. So give me a second.
All good.
And you handle it, baby.
Let me see. By the way, Jerry Jones in the chat said that you can choose a Jerry Jones jersey.
I just vomited. Sorry, vomited. Didn't mean to vomit on myself there.
Figured you would appreciate that the way that it deserved.
Hey, look who's in the house.
The man, Brandon, 2024 KC.
Brandon in the house. Brandon J, right? So Brandon J with the drop. What did he drop in there? A $2 holler? I can't see it from my side.
Yes, it is a $2. Okay, I mean, it is a $2 holler. Yes.
That's his 20th drop, by the way. What did the man say?
He said the Chiefs are 2-0.
And not surprising, of course. They are the Super Bowl champions, right?
I mean, honestly, I'm surprised they managed to scrape their way to 2-0. All things considered, just saying. They had a few moments there. Where
they could have lost both their games.
That's what I'm saying. It wasn't a complete and total domination, I think, the way that some people were expecting there.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. This is the reason the difference between a team like the Chiefs, who's won as many games as the Cowboys in the regular season the last 3-4 years, and the Cowboys, who, we just don't have the ability to do what the better teams do. And that's at quarterback, at running back, at offensive line, at scheme, on coaching, on defense, on everything. Not just one player here. So, yeah, Chiefs 2-0, and they deserve it because they're a Super Bowl type team with that Super Bowl pedigree. We have none of that on this team currently. It's been 28 years, going on 29 of having that pedigree. So, yeah, they got to prove it to us, and they haven't shown it to us in almost 30 years, the Cowboys. Chiefs, they've shown it the last 5 years. They are a dynasty. So, 2-0, expected. Anything else, baby, in the Chizzy?
No.
In the Chizzy chat? Let's start off with the Monday Night Football game, which, we're going to start off with a 5, and 5 is always greater than 1, but cry, fucking Eagles cry. They bitch, they cry. Sirianni, part of the issue for that, because he went for it on third down and a passing down rather than running the clock off. They would have won. But they tried to get tricky, threw it to Saquon Barkley, dropped the pass, stopped the clock, and gave Kirk Cousins and the Falcons a chance to come back. And they did. They came back and drove the field and won. Kirk Cousins caps the winning drive with that touchdown pass to Drake London. And the Falcons rallied past the fuck you Eagles, man. Yes, Kirk Cousins had a flawless, really, he was a very average to bad game. But he had a flawless last-minute drive for Atlanta that got the win. It had it with 34 seconds left. And then there was an interception on Jalen Hurts a couple plays later, which ended the game. And of course, ended 22-21 if you watched that game last night. Also, Saquon, like I said, dropped that short pass with a minute 46 left in the game, which would have sealed the game. He had an easy first down. The game was over. You can say it was Sirianni with the call. You can say you should have ran it. But if Barkley caught it, the Eagles are 2-0. So, again, when you look at the actual numbers, look, there was a lot of time for Cousins, especially against an Eagles defense with soft coverage, non-existent pass rush right now. The Eagles are not that good. Could have lost last week. Lost this last week, 2 weeks ago. Lost this past week against the Falcons. They could be also 0-2, the Eagles. Just as easy as 2-0. Another difference between a team like the Chiefs, who are 2-0 and can overcome some of that shit against tough teams, and then a team like the Eagles and the Cowboys, who are too inconsistent right now. So the Falcons, just so you guys know, just an idea of what you got, what happened here. The Falcons only had a 0.7%, less than 1% chance to win that game, with 1:56 left in the fourth quarter before that drop by Barkley. I mean, they basically they got that first down, and then they were just going to run the clock out. The Falcons called their timeouts. Mm-hmm. They were out, and then this comeback by the Falcons was the 7th most improbable win since the NGS, the Next Gen Stats system, since 2016. This was the 7th most, I guess, improbable win, biggest comeback, most crazy comeback. And it was great to see the Eagles on the losing side of that. Just wanted to throw that out there. You know what I mean?
Man, unfortunately, it couldn't happen to a better team.
Fortunately, yes.
Oh, sorry. That's what I meant to say.
So, when we look around the NFL, what else happened outside of the cry Eagles, bitch cry, and Eagles, and the fucking 5 is always, remember that, Cowboys are always greater. 5 is greater than 1, Eagles. Don't ever forget that. But what else happened in the world of the NFL? Well, let me go through some quick things here. Some not as important to us, some much more important to us, all relative in the NFL, and all relative pretty much to the Cowboys in some shape, form, or fashion. But I'll start with the less relative one here with the Rams. The Rams, they had their starting guard, Jonah Jackson, suffered a fractured scapula. And he's going to IR tomorrow probably. It was a similar injury to what he had in training camp, I think, last year. So now the Rams are without multiple starters for multiple weeks. Cooper Kupp, wide receiver, and wide receiver Puka Nacua, both out for a bunch of weeks. Darius Williams at cornerback. Left guard and center, Jonah Jackson, I just talked about him. Left guard and center, Steve Avila. He's also out for a bunch of weeks. Backup swing tackle, Joe Noteboom. So they're missing everybody on the offensive line, plus safety John Johnson, a couple
defense. They're going through it.
Yeah, John Johnson. They're in trouble. The Rams. They may just be getting worse. Now they got ran over by the Cardinals, and I said ran over, not just on the ground, in the air, and by the Cardinals defense. They killed them. So that's one. That's the Rams, right? They're looking like they're going downhill, along with the Panthers. They're 0-2, the Panthers as well, and they're benching 2023 number 1 overall pick, Bryce Young, after one full year and one game, and technically one game under the new coach and the new coaching regime. They are benching Bryce Young after this. It was basically benched in the middle of this game, and they're going to put in there Andy Dalton to come in there and start for him, according to head coach Dave Canales announcing that yesterday. So, big. That's something you can't just do on your own as a coach. You have to actually go to the front office and say, I'm going to bench our first overall pick of the draft last year for Andy Dalton. So, yeah. Just, I would say, crazy. It's a little crazy, right?
That game must have been bad.
Yeah, I mean, again, we know how bad it was that first week with the Saints. But then the Saints did it to us. As you can see, I hate looking at that score, but we got to take our medicine. The Saints beat our ass 44-19. So the Saints, are we comparable? We scored 9 more points than the Panthers. Are we comparable to the Panthers? I sure fucking hope not. So moving on, a horrible situation happened with Detroit in the sense of outside of the state. 2 people were shot and 1 was killed in a shooting during a tailgate after the Lions game. On Sunday, again, police said it started as a fight and escalated into a shooting, which is unfortunate there when it comes to the fans there. Now, another bunch of injuries and things going on in the NFL. It's important to note here, Isaiah Pacheco, fibula injury, expected to miss about 6 to 8 weeks. So he's going to go on IR, but he will be back this year sometime. So what did the Chiefs do? They lost their starting running back. They brought in Kareem Hunt for a visit on Tuesday, and then today officially signed Kareem Hunt to the Chiefs practice squad. So you see, this is an old Chief. They re-signed him. A couple years later, they got him back. Remember, he had an issue, had to be let go because of hitting a domestic violence situation. Now he's out there, been just wallowing around. And, the Chiefs are like, we know him. He knows us. It's time for...
And it works out, too, for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They bring back someone that's already familiar with their scheme.
It's been some years, but yeah.
I know, but still.
He knows the coach.
Is that, it's a much smoother transition back onto the team.
Yeah. Practice squad for him for Kareem Hunt. But this really is because of the injury to Isaiah Pacheco. So they brought in Hunt. That was their 2017. He was their third-round pick. They brought him for a workout, and now he's on the practice squad. So they picked up one of the running backs out there. The Giants, that's something that affects us. They had issues with their kicker yesterday. He got injured. If you guys remember, Graham Gano got injured. He couldn't kick, so the punter had to kick extra points, and they kept missing them. And, of course, they lost yesterday, in overtime, which means they wouldn't have been overtime if they had their kicker.
Yeah.
So the Giants literally lost the game because their kicker got hurt. So today they put Graham Gano on injury reserve, and they signed Greg Joseph from the Lions practice squad. So the Giants' new kicker for the next handful of foreseeable future is Greg Joseph, again, formerly of the Lions practice squad right there. Now, I also want to update you on Tua. I can't say his last name.
Tagovailoa.
Yeah. He got that I don't know, was it his fifth concussion in the NFL in his career, in his life?
Unfortunate.
Yeah, so the Dolphins today announced they're replacing him on injury reserve to give him ample time to progress through the stages, all these stages of the concussion situation he has and the stages of the concussion protocol, but also to meet with outside neurologists.
Okay, good.
So, again, the earliest he could return would be Week 8 against the Cardinals, but the Dolphins are committed to placing no timeline on him as he works through this. And again, they deliberately are making a process for him for his eventual return to play. So he's not retiring. He wants to play, but he wants to make sure he has time to get through this protocol without rush and see outside neurologists without rush. And that's the way I like the way the Dolphins are handling it. But again, they're going to be suffering for the rest of this for at least half the season, which we knew was going to happen. Yeah. But life is more important than wins, I guess you could say, right? Of course, right? And
especially if you're thinking more of a long-term perspective too, like. Miami is better off suffering through a few weeks without Tua if it means he gets himself right, he gets himself healthy, and he's able to come back after that and actually contribute in some kind of way. Because like you said, he has no plans on retiring. So the best thing that Miami can do now, especially in this type of scenario, is just support him as much as he can, right?
Yeah, that's, I mean, it's, it sucks, but it is something that they have to kind of get through. So look, as I was finishing kind of the NFL news, and I do have a drop they'll have to announce here in a moment, but I do want to also shout out. I do also want to finish the news portion of things here.
Okay.
And just hit up the chat for a second, baby, if you could.
So, by the way, yeah, Jerry said we don't need another Tua Hernandez to happen.
Yeah, no way.
Tom throwing out there, by the way, Saints are legit for sure. I don't want to undermine the great calls by the Saints offensive coordinator and their great players, but the Cowboys play like trash. So, yeah, I have to agree.
It's both. Saints are good.
Yeah, I was going to say, they are obviously much more legit than anybody wanted to give them credit for. So, respect and credit where credit is due. But, yes, our performance was not even trash. Like,
beyond
it was the
trash.
whole garbage dump.
Yeah, it was one of the worst performances we've seen in a while by the Cowboys.
Just very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Let me see. Oh, Jetly44. Hello and hi. Much love. Thanks for being here. Saying we need to do something for our defensive tackle positions.
Yeah, we're going to talk about a little bit about that tonight here, Brother Jet Li. By the way, Brother Jet Li is currently, guess where? He's on the board now, officially, but he's also currently the leader in the cash. Oh, not Chill Pill. He's the king. Well, he wants to be the leader. He's the leader once again with a $1.24 holler. Ooh. And a Go Cowboys. And his comment you just said right there.
Go Cowboys. Thank you.
So actually, I'm sorry. He is not on the board. He had gifted a membership. He is actually now officially in first place by himself. So he's first place as the Cash App and the overall leader here on day one of the MCF live stream week.
So, and Asmodeus, what's up? Hello and hi.
Asmodeus in the house.
Jarrah said, all players were underperforming. Dak missed 4 touchdowns. The defense played like Diddy.
Shit, Diddy, do it? Yeah, I agree. They all play like shitty Diddy. And that can be taken a lot of different ways. The thing is that's for the After Dark talk. But anyways, the point is, yeah, I mean, everybody play like shit. We're going to talk about it. Don't worry. We're going to give Dak his shit that he deserves, and we're going to give everybody the shit that they deserve. It's not just on Dak because he's getting paid $60 million. But Dak had a horrible game. He also had a horrible offensive line and not a very good scheme, very predictable, and, no running game. So it's everyone together, and everyone looked worse. When one guy plays bad and the other guy plays bad, then everyone looks even worse. So when Dak don't help out the line don't help him out. They all look worse. And the defense looked worse than the whole offense. So that should tell you everything you need to know. Anyways, big shout out to Jet Li. First place on the Cash App currently. First place on the leaderboard currently. As we kick it. Again, we got tonight, we got Friday, we got Sunday. We'll see who turns out to be the big winner. Marco Sepian's got 48 points on the stream boss. So, finishing the NFL news here real quick. A big situation from the Niners came up. Deebo Samuel, wide receiver, suffered a calf strain on Sunday. So now he's going to also miss a couple of weeks of football. This is per Kyle Shanahan. So now now the Niners are missing Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel for at least 2, 3, 4 more weeks. You know what that means though, guys, right? They're coming with no excuses when it's time to play the Cowboys. Because when both guys come back, they either will be, a game in or two, or just freshly rested for that October 27th game against the Niners for the Cowboys. So when the Cowboys play the Niners, Deebo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, both will probably be back in town to play the Cowboys. So I just want to throw that out there. Also, since we had CeeDee Lamb fighting Justin Jefferson all offseason for a contract, and both of them getting contracts, the Vikings wide receiver, Justin Jefferson, got injured yesterday, had to be helped off the field, but he said he's not expected to miss any time after leaving the game against the Niners, which again had Deebo Samuel hurt, no CMC. And of course, the Vikings beat them. The Vikings beat, which we were live on our game, talking our game. But yeah, all the good teams lost, guys. The Cowboys, and again, are we good? I don't know. The Cowboys, the Niners, the Lions, the Eagles, everyone lost this week.
The expected teams,
yes,
all
that's probably better.
Lost as well. Like
so,
they're obviously what we would have considered the quote-unquote better teams in a lot of these matchups, but
the favorites for sure.
Yeah.
And all the NFC favorites I just mentioned, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Niners, and the Lions, all took the big L. All of them. So, but anyways, the thing with Justin Jefferson, he had a bruised right quadricep. He'll be back next week for the Vikings. In their surprise win against the Niners. Let's be honest, even with their injuries. Now, the last thing I wanted to kind of touch on, last couple of things here, NFL, but we're entering Cowboy news here. Let's finish with NFL, though. The Colts, quickly, they placed standout defensive tackle DeForest Buckner on injured reserve. He's out for a minimum of 4 games. Here's a crazy one. Quarterback news. Panthers' former quarterback, now a free agent, Cam Newton, worked out for the Panthers today. So
this must be very, very interesting.
I mean, Andy Dalton, he's the backup. We know how good Andy Dalton is, and he's just average. At his best, he was like a little above average with the Bengals. You know what I'm saying? So that's long gone. Those years are long gone. Bryce Young ain't even ready to start play. He's seeming like a little bit Trey Lancey, that Bryce Young situation. Mm-hmm. And so now they're thinking that they worked out Cam Newton. So the Panthers are looking to bring back the former star quarterback for them after Bryce Young was benched, following them being 0-2 start with the new coach. So a reunion could be happening. Keep an eye out for that. And by Friday, when we go live again, you may hear us already saying, "Are you where you will know?" And you say, "Yeah, I heard that on MCF." Cam Newton might be a Panther here before the end of the week. Now, a former Cowboy, literally from this season, running back Royce Freeman, who we released. We never put him on the practice squad. He's been a free agent. The Browns didn't just sign Kareem Hunt. They also are planning to sign free agent running back Royce Freeman, former Cowboy there. Again, a 7-year veteran, released by the Cowboys in August. Right now, going to Cleveland. So they powered up with 2 running backs. Yeah, that's how the Chiefs, they win, because they got one, Isaiah Pacheco out. Well, they bring in Kareem Hunt, and they bring in another veteran, Royce Freeman, to make sure they got all bases covered. We say we're fine with our guys. That's what we hear from Jerry Jones. And you probably hear that from him tonight sometime. So when you look at the NFL as a whole right now, you see all these injuries. We know it's always injuries, movement, benching, startings, all these changes. Which NFC team do you think has the most wins, including the playoffs, since the start of the 2020 season, baby? I'm asking you. NFC team has the most wins, including the playoffs, since the start of the 2020 season.
I mean, I hate to say the Niners, but they're the first team that popped in my head.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I mean,
I mean, you remember Tom Brady, and then they stayed like
Yeah,
right there average. They made the playoffs the last couple of years.
One of the things
Baker
that
Mayfield?
they were able to do is, remember, when Brady was still there, they had one hell of a fucking defense. They're able to take that defense and carry some of that. I'm just saying, like, their defense was basically able to hold it over for that, like, year or two where they were still trying to figure it out post-Brady, and somehow they lucked out with Baker Mayfield. Like, it's mind-blowing to me.
Yeah, so I knew it'd be tricky. That's why I asked it. I knew you'd say something like the Niners or the Eagles.
Like I said, I would have never expected Tampa. That was not one of the names I was going to say. So
just to show you how the NFC is going right now, the Saints' Derek Carr and the Bucks' Baker Mayfield rank 1 and 2 among the NFL quarterbacks in passer rating. The best quarterbacks in the league right now, Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield. Carr is at 142.4, Mayfield at 129.1 QBR. Both these guys have 5 touchdowns against only 1 interception, and both teams are 2-0 starting off. So less is more. You know why? Both Derek Carr and Baker Mayfield, neither of these guys rank in the top 25 for total pass attempts. So they have great ratings because they're not throwing the ball that much. They're just throwing it just enough, perfectly enough for their team's needs. Let's put it that way. And it doesn't have to be all game long. Derek Carr is number 1, Baker Mayfield number 2, number 3, Josh Allen, number 4, Kyler Murray, and believe it or not, number 5 from Minnesota, Sam Darnold. That's number 5. So the top 5 quarterbacks passer rating wise, 4 of these guys who had never thought they'd be on this list. Even Kyler Murray at this point.
Agree.
Josh Allen, the only one. He's 3rd. So not a lot of good quarterback play right now from the top quarterbacks in the NFL. I wanted to make that clear. I also want to make clear that Skeptical Fan, the man, dropping that $2 J. Lou Holler. What did he have to say, baby?
I wasn't impressed with Rico or Deuce. Zeke was okay.
I'm going to talk about the running backs. Trust me. Trust me, Skeptical. We need to stay skeptical because it's not going to be good. Well, I'm going to talk about the running backs when I get to them, so trust me. Trust me.
Like I said, this running back by committee thing that we're trying to do is working out about as well as receiver by committee did.
You got to remember, right? What's one of the things that running backs like to do a lot of times, right? They don't want to go in for one drive and then come out. They like to get into
the
feel
a rhythm.
of it.
And
rhythm.
Unfortunately, the way that we're doing things, it doesn't really give Zeke a chance to get into a rhythm. Doesn't give Dowdle a chance to get into the rhythm. We still have Deuce Vaughn, so we're forced to find a way to use him. Now, no offense to Deuce, just saying that spot could have gone to someone else who can give us a little bit more. But it is what it is. Thank you so much, Calvin Richard.
Oh, he just dropped
a $5 holler.
So you're telling me he put 5 on it? Hell yeah.
You know, he said,
hit me.
With the performance of our D-line, I had flashbacks of Dontari Poe. Who needs to throw the ball when you can run all day? Oh, okay, so that's, I thought you were going to...
I know it was done.
No, all good, but thank you so much, Calvin Richard. Appreciate you. But yes, exactly. I'll start with that first part there. Yeah, the D-line, it looked like 5-6 Dontari Poes out there.
Well, definitely one. And I'll tell you who that was shortly. I think he's been gone soon.
The pressure was non-existent. The energy was lacking. The cohesiveness didn't exist. Felt like we were a day late and $1 short to every single play that was run. So, yeah. Don't blame me there. So, and again, just our general approach to the run game leaves a lot to be desired.
Yeah, I mean,
so thank you so much, Calvin.
Appreciate you. Listen, I have some news for you. It's funny. You guys brought up 2 topics that I am focusing on tonight, and I'm really not focusing on too much because you guys know it was just a horrible fucking game. If we see that the rest of the year, we're going to be lucky if we're 8-9. So when it comes to the running backs, I have a little bit of info on that later on. When it comes to the defensive tackles, I got a little bit of info on that as well. So we're going to break that down, and I'm happy you guys both brought that up. By the way, Marco Seppian drops to 41 points in the Stream Boss. While Jet Li's in first place, we got a bunch of people tied for second and a bunch of people tied for fifth. Appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you, and go Cowboys. Now, as we keep it rolling, and keep it coming, guys, because we're definitely here to hear your thoughts, your comments, and questions about our Cowboys. But I wanted also just to kind of quickly finish up one last, power rankings, okay? Fuck the power rankings.
Always
fucked up. We always hear him come out on, on Tuesdays. So last week we were 5th. We were probably between 5th and 9th across all the power rankings after our win against the Browns. Now we're at 8th. NFL.com, we're at 11th. ESPN, we're at 14th. USA Today would drop to 18th. Yahoo, I don't know how we went from 4 to 6, but Yahoo loves us, I guess. We're 6th best team to them in the power rankings. CBS Sports puts us 13. The Athletic puts us 13. Sports Illustrated 17th. And I mean, I'm surprised to say this, the 33rd team, which is funny because they don't really put us, Marcus Mosher and all them, they don't put us that high usually. They put us 9th, surprisingly, after week 2. So most places, like right now, we're all the way as high up, I guess, as 6 and as low as 18 on the power rankings. While last week we were between like 4 and 9. So again, but like I said, if power rankings mean shit, only one team matters, and that's who wins the Super Bowl. So yeah, that's the way it kind of works. Now,
by the way, shout out to Alex Moreno, of course, Mr. Voodoo Alpha.
Yes, Voodoo.
A big mahalo to
and
the man
Seabass
Mark
also in the
Hosepian.
house. I see him in there.
Yeah, shout out Seabass.
But we got Mark, the man, Mark Hosepian, the stream boss, pushing himself back up to 46 points. What are the man from Hawaii ripping that star no matter what? I know he's going to have a lot of disagreements about this team, and trust me, we're going to probably agree tonight, Mark. A lot of agreements tonight with Mark and myself, I think. But what did he say tonight, baby, with that, kicking it off with that $5 holler?
He said, "What have I said? Mozzie's a bust. Osa, our so-called pass rusher, averages 3 sacks a year. Our starters would not start for most teams. We fix it with 2 has-beens."
And I got to say, one of those guys, I'm still waiting to see what happens. The other guy, kick him to the curb time. You'll hear me. I'm going to talk about it, Mark. You were right. Now, I'm not saying you're right about everything, but you have been right. You've been right about this one, and a couple of course, you've been right about a lot of things. But I'm just saying, like this one, you were dead on about, and I thought that we had at least a little bit left from guys like Linville Joseph and guys like Jordan Phillips. But I'll explain here in a moment. I'm actually going to explain right now here, basically. So,
go for it.
Finishing kind of the NFL news, which I kind of just did, I guess. I also wanted to. And I'm going to finish up with some Baltimore stuff at the end, of course. But I wanted to touch on the final kind of, I guess you could say NFL news, but now it's all Cowboys here. Let me explain. So the Chiefs, of course, I don't know if you guys remember this or knew this was going to happen. I don't know if we had talked about this, but they waived tight end Peyton Hendershot, all right, former Cowboy. They picked him up after we released him. They waived him today. I'm sorry, let me rephrase that. We traded him to the Chiefs. And they had him for 2 weeks and then released him. He was never cut. The Cowboys were going to cut him, Hendershot. But to try to fight off other people, maybe other waiver claims, they decided, the Chiefs went with the trade. Now, that trade was only reliant upon how much he played. Then the Cowboys may get a draft pick. But one day after making his, again, he didn't play that first week with KC. This past week he played with Kansas City against the Bengals, which they squeaked out. So one day after making his KC debut, and if you remember in the opening game, he took a fine. He got fined for coming to the defense of Patrick Mahomes. He's now on waivers, now released. So officially went on waivers yesterday, which means the Cowboys are not going to receive that 2026 conditional 7th round pick. Again, guys, it was a 7th round pick, not the biggest deal. We traded him away and said if he had to play, I think what was it? With Hendershot released by the Chiefs now, the Chiefs keep their 2026 7th round pick since he was not on the 53-man roster. He was still on the practice squad. He has to be on that 53-man roster for 5 games. And he has to be on the 46 active man game day roster for 3 games. He was not on those. So, and again, of course, he only been in 2 total games at possible right now. So obviously, they released him. Cowboys don't get any, any trade value back for him. We don't get that 7th rounder. Again, I just want to say, knowing the Chiefs, we're talking about the last pick of the draft. So, it ain't the worst thing in the world, but we got nothing for Hendershot.
Mr. Irrelevant, right? Is that what's
Yeah,
the name
that's
of
Brock
it?
Purdy.
Mr. Irrelevant? Yeah.
That's the last pick. But again, my point is, Mr. Irrelevant is also going to be an undrafted. You know what I'm saying? So, after he was released, 24 hours went by, no one picked him up. And I was thinking, would the Cowboys maybe, go for him since we're kind of short on tight ends right now? We lost a couple of them. Mm-hmm. The Chiefs picked him right back up and put him on their practice squad. So what they did was, here's what they did. They said, we're going to cut him. If we lose him, we lose him. Yeah. But no one's going to pick him up. And as soon as he goes through waivers, we'll pick him back up, put him on our practice. So we still keep him, and we don't have to give anything to the Cowboys, no matter what he does or starts. Or maybe they think he's going to start for a bunch of games here in the upcoming future. Sure. So let's just save the 7th round pick and cut him and pick him back up. Which once they cut him, it nullifies the trade, like the 7th round pick, and then they pick him back up. It's like a new transaction. So we're not getting anything for Hendershot. So the other, I got to give you an update. This kind of goes into what Mark Hovsepian said, and who else was talking about the defensive lineman? Was it Calvin Richard? I think it was talking about the defensive lineman.
Yeah, he talked about the D-line performance there.
Right, so
called the Dontari Poes.
Yeah, well, Jordan Phillips is turning into, he's the Dontari Poe right now for the Cowboys. Both games he's been pushed. He was pushed back a little bit against the Browns. He was pushed back a lot. And I mean, almost every play he was pushed back 5 yards. He's Dontari Poe Part 2. And I just fucking hate it because I liked this guy 3-4 years ago. He was really good. Jordan Phillips now, guys. Because he was on our 46-man roster for at least 2 games, we have to give up our 6th round pick now in 2026 to the Giants. And we get their 7th round 2027 pick. So we just flip picks. We give them our 2026 pick. And I'm sorry, our 6th round pick in 2026, and they give us their 7th round pick in 2026. That deal now. Before this, if he didn't play in 2 games or was on the active roster, then it would not count yet. We would not be giving anything up for him. We'd keep our 6th, and they'd keep their 7th. Now we just flipped 6th and 7th rounders. Now I will say this: it's maybe a 20, 25. What do you call it? Draft place drop. So it's not going to kill us, guys. Let's just be. It could have been better, right? But Jordan Phillips was a risk. We lost. For now, we've lost, and we lost the 7th. We lost a 6th rounder and got a 7th rounder, an early 7th rounder probably from the Giants, and they're going to hopefully get a late 6th rounder from us. Again, this is not for 2025. This is for 2026. So it's 2 years away. We probably won't remember it by the time we get. Why would we have a 6th round pick in 2026? Oh yeah, Jordan Phillips, that shitty deal.
Look, it sucks, but I don't think this is going to be anything that makes or breaks.
Yeah, it's not going to have repercussions like that. But in 2026, we're going to have no 6th rounder and 2 7th rounders. That's what it's looking like now. But I want to add on to Jordan Phillips because he was one of the disasters on this team, one of many. But I want to make sure everyone is reminded that Jordan Phillips, and again, I said this when we picked him up, because the Giants are thinking of cutting him. When we traded for him, I told you guys, even though I was hoping that it was maybe maybe just using him only for run stopping instead of pass. He's not a pass rusher anymore. But he was a 3rd string defensive tackle. He was a 3rd stringer on their depth chart for the Giants before they traded him to us. So, again, he was behind Raheem Nunez Roches? He's 31 years old, by the way, that guy, who's only started 6 games in the last 2 years. And he was in front of Jordan Phillips on the depth chart. He's the starter for the Giants. The backup for him at that position was Ryder Anderson, an undrafted free agent in 2022, who has basically 90% of the time been on the practice squad for the Giants. And 3rd guy was Jordan Phillips, who is the guy we traded for. And I thought he'd do better. I was wrong. This guy on my screen was right. Mark Hovsepian. So yeah, guys, a guy who's 31 years old and played in 6 games in 2 years was a starter, and the backup to him is a guy who was an undrafted guy who's on the practice squad pretty much his whole career. Those are the 2 guys in front of Jordan Phillips and the Giants. He came to the Cowboys to be basically a pseudo starter. That's the Jerry Jones. That's the clown show way. What did Mark Hovsepian have to say as he goes up to 51 points on the Stream Boss?
As for running back by committee, that translates to we have jack shit and hope someone steps up.
Yeah, that's
How
Jerry's
one
way.
can think those three could do better than a pick is stupid.
Yeah,
Not even that, but
we had 2 years of chances to get running backs to the draft.
But just the way that they're doing it too. I mean, they're basically just guaranteeing that Zeke never quite gets into a rhythm, Dowdle never quite gets into a rhythm. Deuce Vaughn will never get into a rhythm.
They got two carries. I mean, and then they give Deuce the carries that is not even. They're not even like his type of carries.
Yeah.
Like you give him the ball on the outside, you give him throwing the ball in space. They talk about doing that all year. They do it all off season in practice and and then they run him inside 3 times for 2 games straight. 6 times inside runs. What the fuck is what is that? That's coaching. That's Mike McCarthy.
So,
he got to go. Sorry,
and again, you said it. Anyone who thinks that those 3 are somehow going to do better. It's stupid.
We're going to talk about the running backs, too. I got you here, Mark. Don't worry. We got you. Big shout out to Mark, who, by the way, not just stream boss with 51 points, but he's also currently the leader. He jumped over Jet Li, 44, in first place. We got more for you, Mark. Don't worry. We got a lot of information to kind of pump up Mark's viewpoints
Cracking me
on
up.
this.
I'm sorry. Frame Rippers, a.k.a. Voodoo Alpha,
Voodoo.
a.k.a. Alex Moreno said, I blame MCF because he's been wanting Jordan Phillips, so Jerry wanted that.
I wanted Jordan Phillips 3 years ago. You go back and check the tapes. No, I'm saying, but this Jordan Phillips, I was like, we'll see. We'll see what he does. I hope he can do it. I mean, I hope he can do it right. He got a shot on Deshaun Watson last week that almost killed Deshaun Watson. Outside of that, though, he's getting pushed back 5 yards in a run game. I don't need him to rush the passer. I need him to stop the run, and the guy's fucking blowing chunks right now. And I can freely admit it, I was wrong about what I thought he had in his tank. I will say at least Linval Joseph is a little better, but he overruns things and then puts the linebackers in bad situations. So both of these veteran guys are kind of end of their gas tanks. Cowboys got like whatever they paid might have been like the bottom dollar. You get what you pay for, Jerry Jones, no matter how much you hype it up. And these aren't even your own guys. You're so proud about. So, yeah, Jordan Phillips' situation, not very good for the Cowboys. And we're going to touch on everything else here in a minute. Let me kind of get my stuff together.
Of course.
But
Let me take a second here before I hit up the chat to remind everyone to hit like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You guys can follow us anywhere and everywhere at MyCowboysFamily, of course. Hop in the Discord. The link for that's in the description box down below. And, yes, an extra special shout-out to the people representing here on the board, like right now, Chill Pill, sponsor of the week and the membership gifting queen.
The chillest of pills.
Yes.
Appreciate her.
A big mahalo to Marco Seppian.
The stream boss pumps up 5 more up on there to go to 56 now. What do you have to say, babe, with that 5 on it?
You have a quarterback we pay the most money and who still needs a lot of help. And Jerry Jones won't give it to him. Then add a has-been coach. A disaster waiting to happen.
I'm going to say it. Everything Marco Seppian just said, every single word of it, every word Mark said is correct. It's just the way it is. You can't say no to facts. And it's one thing to see if it comes. Okay, we can guess opinions. Another thing to see it in action. And I've seen enough of some of these guys, some of these our guy moves, some of these Jerry Jones moves. I've seen enough to say, all right, Jordan Phillips, he has no gas in his tank. He's out. He's done. He is finished in his NFL career unless he's going to be like a third stringer. I mean, even Mozzie's better than him. And that's saying a lot right now. So, not a good situation. Look, let's get through these fucking Saints. I hate to even have to deal with this shit, honestly, because, we got to talk about this loss. And I'm going to make it as painless as possible. I promise you guys. But first, I will end it with some Baltimore talk. So we do get the Ravens next.
Yeah, of course. And I did want to hit up the chat here real quick as well, because Aztec Aguilar 04 said, most important thing about this team overall, it's the culture that's a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
We're soft as Charmin. There's accountability, and let me see. There's accountability, and we are weak mentally. And until we change that, we will continue.
I've always said this. That I think the weakness, no matter, you can blame Dak and the $60 million, you can blame McCarthy and the coaching, you can blame the defense and the Zimmer and the whatevers. But in the end, guys, the culture, that's created by one person and his family, and that's this guy. The clown show. Jerry Jones and his son Stephen Jones. Guys, That is the problem. The culture to this team. I said that at the beginning of the year. There is no accountability for your general manager, who's the owner, who's Jerry Jones. He's not going to fire his fucking self, which we've been saying for years he should be doing, but we know he won't. So the general manager, which is Jerry, will do things Jerry Jones's way. Stephen Jones does it the same way as well. You think Jerry Dye is going to change? It is not. So, yeah, you guys are 100% right. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones put this team in the Dak, Zimmer, running backs, that committee. You can blame anyone you want, guys. Mike McCarthy, still, everybody I just said would do better if we had a real GM on this team.
Oh, yeah.
And we're not. And the only guy as close as Will McClay. He does whatever he can, Will McClay. Only so much you can do with these two fucking clowns running the show, running the circus. And that's just the way they love it. These two guys love doing it this way. They don't mind losing because they're still making that, because they're still selling out Cowboy Stadium.
Yep.
They don't give a fuck. So we'll see. We'll see if that continues. If they keep doing these games and the fans keep paying, then we will keep losing. But if the fans open their eyeballs a little bit and maybe we start not having sellouts, then maybe, we know what happened in training camp. We got a little bit nervous about nobody showing up for a couple training camp sessions. What if people don't sell out Texas State? You think Jerry's going to start to maybe get a fucking GM? I'm waiting. I know he won't, but I'm waiting. Markov sent me a much love to you. He dropped that 5 on it. What did he say, baby? Oh, and Galvin Richard also dropping another 5. He's in second place all by himself. Mark's in first place. Hit me up with what Mark said first, and then we'll get Calvin Richard's comment.
So, big mahalo to Mark saying, what gets me is, Dak says it's not the money. If that's true, sign a more team-friendly deal, and then Jerry Jones has to worry about signing people. Then you can win, and both don't do that.
Well, that's what Jerry... It's exactly what... See, I think that it's not about the money when it comes to, I think when Dak says it's not about the money, I hate to say it like this, but I don't think he means it like I'm going to just take a team-friendly deal to help Jerry Jones sign more guys. I think we're reading it the wrong way. I think when Dak Prescott says it's not about the money, he's like, he plays for the love of football. Money comes along with that. When you add the money into it, it is a business. What do you think these two guys do on your screen? And I know Mark knows. What do you think they do? Do they love football, these guys? Because Dak loves football. He loves playing the sport. That's the part that's not about the money. Jerry Jones, it's only about the money. But Dak's business side is to get paid top dollar, value for your position. Quarterback market is high. He wants to be offered a contract that's better than a $55 million to Tua, to Jordan Love, to guys that haven't won shit. Trevor Lawrence. Do you guys feel me? So I can't blame Dak for wanting his market value. And we're only there because of the Joneses put us to that point. Dak is getting what he deserves. He says he does it for the love, not for the money. He's talking about playing football. But the money is what he's getting paid for, and that's his job. And he's going to look for the top market value for his numbers. And that's all. And I don't blame him for that. It's the Joneses' fault. If they had done the deals right at the beginning of the offseason, Dak would be $55, $56 million. In that range. But we waited and let everyone sign. And now we're mad at Dak? Nah. I'm mad at these two fucking fools. The clown show. They are the problem. They start the problems, and it really, the shit rolls downhill. So everyone down to the freaking ball boy gets the shit. Gotta take the shit from what the decisions made by these two fuckers. So when you add it all together, that's why we're in this situation. It's these two. Forget about the contract. I don't even care. That's business. These two are the idiots that ruin it. Why do other teams get their deals done right away? Why do they don't mess around and get their guys signed, and then they have room to sign other guys? That's GM. That's right GMing. We have wrong GMing on our screen. And that's the way it's going to be till he dies and Stephen Jones take over. And then he's going to fucking keep doing the same shit. I hope I answered all the questions. I know Calvin Richard also said something, right?
Yes. Thank you so much, by the way. But I think your comment touched a little bit on some of the things he mentioned here. He said, in the defensive lies, the defense that these guys were sitting on the couch a month ago. With a little bit of time, maybe they could give us something. I
mean, I agree. Linville Joseph
similar to what you kind of said, that the types of moves that the Cowboys made to help the team to pick up some of these guys. They weren't exactly picking the cream of the crop.
Oh no!
The Cowboys. You wanted Jordan Phillips 3 years ago.
Yeah,
they got
we'll
him
lay
now.
on that.
Like
the thing
you
is,
my point though.
The thing is, Jordan Phillips though was not on the couch. He was at the Giants' third stringer, so he was actually on the field practicing whatever. Linval Joseph was on the couch. I do think that with a little more time, Linval Joseph was not getting pushed back. So I think he could be a guy that could help us out. I don't know if Jordan Phillips has any more left in him. I got to be honest. From what I seen, he was just out of place, pushed back, overrunning. I mean, just horror. Every play was bad for number 98. And I hate saying that because I really liked the guy a couple years ago. But, man, it's over. It's like Dontari Poe. He was good a couple years before we got him. We got him. He was the worst. It's similar. That's Dontari. Now, Linval Joseph, not nearly as bad. So maybe he can help us. But right now, we're in trouble either way is the point here, right? So Seabass is right. This has been established by the Joneses. And they are the ones that want, they're kind of like the real coaches. Because they're the ones telling the coaches what to do, basically, right? Big shout-outs to the man Marco said. We're in first place, and he's like, I'm going to take a nice little lead here on day one of MCF. Yeah. What did the man say with that 5 on it?
He said, I'd respect Dak if he said he's worth $60 million. He does not deserve 60. The market is the only reason. That's not deserving. 2 playoff wins with good teams. So.
Good teams, but maybe not good all-around teams. Good enough teams on offense and some parts of the team. But were we really good enough on defense with Marinelli against the Rams? Against the Seahawks? I'm sorry, I'm not the Seahawks, but the Rams beat us after we beat the Seahawks. And then, we beat the who was it? The Buccaneers. I mean, and after that we lost to the Niners, which was a close game. But again, the basic things failed us once again. So I hear you, brother. I hear you, Mark. But it's not only again. I understand the whole viewpoint of, hey, you know what? Why are we paying Dak all this money? But that's one of the few guys we have left on this team that the Joneses would be willing to pay anything. Because if not for that, we'd be paying Linval Joseph $5 million a year. You know what I mean? And they still be getting the same shitty players. So I'm just hoping that sooner than later, our Cowboys front office, it's not going to change until.
Honestly, Tom's comment right before your drop, Mark, I think sums it up in a pretty funny, not funny way. He said, might as well take the money when these two are sabotaging the Cowboys every year.
And I don't blame them. Taking the money to sabotage, that's one thing. I mean, obviously, I'd hope not, but get what you got to get paid. We know the Cowboys are going to give it up. The Cowboys this front office, deadlines make deals. Bullshit. Deadlines only secure deals, high-paying deals for our top players. Deadlines don't make deals. Deadlines cost us money because of the front office and the way they run shit. I'm just being honest.
Yeah.
Mark Hosepian with another 5 on it.
Woo.
Damn, he's blowing up. What's going on? The man Mark Hosepian, he's got a lot to say. What did he say this time with that $5 holla?
He said there were only 2 years that our defense sucked. Otherwise, we've been top 10 for most of Dak's career. And there have been good playmakers on offense and a bad division.
No, that's really up in the air. With Garrett, there was nothing good about our teams. Sorry. I'm just being real. So half of Dak's career, our defense was average. We had one good year at Marinelli, and then McVay knew everything figured us out in the playoff game easily because the Colts gave our information out. And I'm not going to get into it, but that shows me Marinelli just doesn't adjust and adapt, and that's the only reason we even got close to getting back in the game against the Rams is why? One guy, Dak Prescott. Because our defense sucked, the running game sucked, everyone sucked. So, I don't know if I can say we had good defenses or good teams. We had inconsistent teams for the last 9 years on this, in my opinion. Even with the winning that we've had the last 3 12-win years, and you can say this too, Mark, we've been inconsistent, right? So I think it's more inconsistency than we didn't have the good players and bad players. It was inconsistent. We had some good players. We had a good team, but not a team that was, I think, consistent. And that is the key thing that's missing from this team. Because all the winning teams, they're definitely consistent, and we are not. We never have been under Dak. We never have been under Garrett. And we really haven't been consistent. Let's be honest now. Even with Romo, we've never been consistent since the Aikman, Irvin, Emmett, 90s, dynasty years. We've never been consistent.
That was the last time we were consistent in a way that we would feel.
And who took over GMing at that point? Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones took over. We became inconsistent. I'm just it's not Dak. It's not Romo. It's not the defense. It's not it's everyone that has their hand in it. It's the biggest issue, without question, is the show of the clowns, the circus. These two guys. That's all. I'm gonna leave it at that. Anyways, now let's get to it, guys, because I know I have a lot of stuff still, and I got to kind of try to fly through this here. Don't have all night, and we do have an After Dark special tonight, so if you want to join us there, it should be a little fun, more chill. This is more aggravating, getting the anger, getting the poison out in this game here from our Cowboys the way we played. Now, I'm going to start off with just basically saying that this was one of the most embarrassing losses we've had ever.
Yeah, and at first I thought you were, I don't want to say exaggerating, just saying that, surely we've lost in other horrifically tremendous ways. Like, this can't be the worst one.
Well, again, there's been bad ones.
You get my point. We're talking regular season here. Let me make that clear as well.
Yeah, no, I thought regular season, and I'm also talking about expectation of the team. Again, 1989, expectation was low. All right. So, I don't really have a problem with that. And that's one of the things I want to say here, because when it comes to home openers, not the first opening game, the first game we're at home in the season that we open at home, the worst home openers in Jerry Jones's era, in the last 35 years, the year 2000, when we were already out of the glory years, the Eagles beat us 41-14. That was our worst defeat ever. The second worst, what happened on Sunday? 44-19 to the Saints. And our third worst home opening loss was back in 1989 when Jerry Jones took over. And yeah, Jimmy Johnson was the GM, but we were just 3-13. Of course, we ended up 1-15 that year. We lost to the Washington Redskins 30-7 in that home opening game loss in 89. So, again, and I want to reiterate, the 2000 loss, the worst loss we had, we went 5-11 that year. So,
I don't think we're setting up for a 5-11 year.
Yeah, those are the two options. Right, the worst home opening losses in Jerry Jones's life as a Cowboy owner, 89 when we went 1-15, and 2000 we went 5-11. What's this year? I don't know, but it was our second worst defeat at home opener under Jerry Jones. The Cowboys allowed the Saints to reach 432 total yards. They scored 44 points, and they held the ball for over half the game. It was only the 9th time in Cowboy history that the Cowboy defense got worked like that. So again, I talked about the worst performance at home, and only one of the worst ones I remember seeing. But then, when you look at the defensive performance, guys, and I just read you those numbers there, right? 432 total yards, 44 points, and the Saints had the ball for over half the game. It was the 9th time in franchise history. It was our ninth worst performance by a defense in a game in almost 70 plus years. Let's be honest, since 1960. Horrifyingly horrible. You know who's not horrible? Who's fantastic? Who's the man keeping us afloat here? The man. Mark Hovsepian in the house from Hawaii, dropping that $5 holla, going up to 71 points. Achuma Doga on the Stream Boss. What did he say?
Defensive ranked since 2016. We had the 5th, 13th, 6th, 11th, 28th, 7th, and 5th ranked defense. And then Romo had defenses ranked in the 20th, 13th, 20th, 2nd, 31, 16th, 24, 26, 15, and 16th. Dak had good defenses.
I hear you. Listen, what do we always say? Mark, what do you always say to me about rankings? Because on offense, we're number 1 for like the last 4 years. But like you say, right? Play bad teams, the rankings go up higher, right? Could it have been that year? Do you think we actually had a good defense, Mark? Or do you think we just ranked a good defense in those early years of Dak? I'm just asking because if you recall those first early years of Dak, and again, I would say in his rookie year, we had a solid defense. And the year we made the playoffs and lost to the Rams, So his second year, so his third year. So we had a pretty good defense, but they were not consistent, my guy. They were, now, let me put it to you this way. They were consistent against bad teams. Against the good teams, the defense not very good. None of those defenses very good. And we can say that about the new defenses that have been ranked really high recently with Dan Quinn. I think Mark can agree when we play a bad team. What do you say, Mark? Say it with me. Oh, they played a bad team. They're not really that good. They're missing their offensive lineman, blah, 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 blah. And I agree with you. Those defenses that were under Romo were already not good, right? But the Dak defenses showed better against bad teams. But they played inconsistent against the good ones. So Dak's defenses were not very good either, even if the quote-unquote stats show it as being high-ranked. God damn, Dak has the highest ranking numbers as a quarterback. But you agree that's because some of the games were padded numbers, stats, easier defenses or someone. So we got to play at both sides. Now I'm not saying that I remember those defenses we had that you're naming there that were the better ones, especially outside. Let's say before Dan Quinn. They never really, for me, and I don't know for you guys, if you remember watching them, do you ever feel confident in the defenses? Even in the last 9 years, have you felt confident in any of these defenses outside of the last 3 years? With Dan Quinn, I felt a lot more confident with the defense. And then what happens? We break down against the good teams on defense. Or we break down in the playoffs against better teams, right? Even with Dan Quinn. So you can play the game both ways. What did Mark say? I'm sure he's responding. What did man's have to say?
Big mahalo to Mark, who, by the way, keeps powering himself up on the stream boss part. He's got 76 points. Almost
fully loaded.
Mark Hosepian said, "You're right. That's my point with Dak.
Yeah.
People say, oh, look at his stats. But who is he playing?
Right, okay.
Generally speaking, Dak's D's were better than Romo. Basically,
I would say, yes.
That,
they were higher ranked.
Most of his stats against teams. Okay.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. I'm just saying that. I understand what he's saying, but I just said that. The thing is that the defense, I would say they were more. I don't think they're better than Romo's defenses. They were just more consistent, in my opinion, against worse teams than Romo's defenses. Romo's defenses were bad against bad teams. They were average, and they were more bad against good teams. So I understand the difference there, but Dak had a more consistent defense, not necessarily a better defense, in my opinion. Although the last 3 years we have had a solid defense. And what happened to that defense, guys? Even with the high rankings. The high rankings of Dan Quinn defenses, and what happened to our defense? Most of the time we still got split open by the better teams. That's all. So I agree, though. Overall, Dak's had a better defenses, but you know what? Mark? Romo didn't get farther than Dak. Like, they both have gotten the same distance, and Dak's had a little bit better defense. I guess you can say that, I mean, I think Romo's a better pure quarterback than Dak. But, and again, he started learning things. He got hurt then. So I'm not saying Romo is even the better quarterback overall, but stat-wise, of course, he's not going to be. He is right now, but he won't be when Dak finishes playing his career with Dallas. So, it's just, I don't really look at the stats to rate the defense, is my point, for Dak. And compare it to Romo and say, oh, look how much better Dak's defenses were, because we know, I remember watching those defenses, and so do you guys, and they did not give you confidence the way that maybe the Quinn defenses gave you the last couple of years. Of course, we saw this defense fail in the playoffs multiple times, and we lost the confidence in the Quinn defenses because they were inconsistent when it mattered most against the best teams. And that was the issue in the Garrett and Marinelli. That was the issue with Mike Nolan under Mike McCarthy. That was the issue with Dan Quinn under Mike McCarthy. And it's going to probably be the same issue under Zimmer with Mike McCarthy. So that's all I can say. I don't know what to say. We need more. And by saying more, we need a GM. That's what we need. We had a GM. I think all these problems most of these problems would be helped and fixed. I truly, truly believe that. With no GM, with Jerry Jones as GM, we are doomed for a while. Sorry, guys. I also, unfortunately, truly believe that. So let me explain this as well. Allowed all these yards. The second worst home opener for the Cowboys under Jerry Jones. The 9th worst defensive performance in our history. And when you look at, I'm not even going to go through all the rankings. But you look at the rankings. The Cowboys, not one Cowboy player is ranked in the top 10 of any category in the NFL. Now, I'd say I gotta say this: kicking wise is different. I'm talking about the quarterback, running back, receiver, defensive sacks, interceptions.
Geez, but nobody in the top 10.
No top 10 Cowboy. Now, the only place the Cowboys are top 10 individually are in the bad stats, like RYOE, which is an analytical, which is also for the team, we're the worst. And as individual players, we have two guys in the bottom 10, Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott. So the running game is horrible. The team is playing horrible. We're going to the Saints game. I'm going to talk about it now. Let me just kind of get more with the Saints game here. But I do want to bring up, when we talk about Zeke, right? And the running game and Dak and the passing game. In this specific game against the Saints, one of the biggest issues was their offense, our offensive line. And of course, when you look at like the top PFF guys analytically, Luke Schoonmaker was our number one offensive guy. What does that tell you about this offense? 76.5. That's not even good. That's like above average. He was our best offensive player. Zach Martin was second. Cooper Rush was third because he had 2 plays. Tyler Smith was fourth, and CeeDee Lamb was fifth. That's it. Those are our best guys analytically against the Saints. But I will say this, and we can sit here, and again, Dak had a horrific game. You heard me say everything about Dak during the game. But I will say one thing. When the offense scores points on the first 4 drives, which is what we did. I mean, we did get our points pretty much all in the first half. Where our offense scored points, a touchdown and 3 field goals on the first 4 drives, and we were still down by 19 points. Is that about the quarterback, even though he made some mistakes, or is it more about the defense? That's about the defense. I mean, listen, I'm not saying we couldn't have scored touchdowns. I know Dak and CeeDee were miscommunicated on a play there. Could have been a touchdown. There was a play where we did a reverse, which I didn't like, but if Jalen Brooks would have held his block, touchdown. That's 2 touchdowns we could have had instead of 2 field goals. So, yeah, it could have been 24 to whatever they had at the time. But instead, what was it, 7 plus 9, so we had what? 16 points at halftime? We scored 3 the whole second half. We had 16 points on our first 4 drives. That's not. I mean, we could be better. We could have had 24.
But that's not the worst.
Should we be down 19 points?
No.
After scoring 16, we're down 19.
I mean, no.
That's little D. That's little D. That's no D. That's where our issue is, guys. So again, you got to remember, our offense was horrible, but our defense was a lot worse. The Saints, with Dak, forced 10 tight window throws. That's tough to do. Like they're putting the Cowboys in a tough situation passing the ball. And they only allowed 3 receptions in those tight window throws. Dak could only get 3 completed out of those 10 for 56 yards. And he also had an interception. So again, out of those 10 passes in tight windows, 1 was picked, 3 were caught, 6 were incomplete. So the Saints secondary made things difficult for the Cowboy receivers. Whoever was in there, even CeeDee Lamb, made it difficult for the receivers all game long. Did not give them any separation. And the Saints played really well. They had a really good game plan. They played tough. They kept our receivers right next to them. Dak had no real, a lot of tight window throws, which you never really want to do. Dak's one of the best at that. Had a pick. Only completed 3 of those. So it was a very bad game for Dak. But again, a very tough game, I would say, right? For Dak Prescott there. The running game through 2 games right now. All right, which I think is a situation we got to discuss here. The running game, whether it's Zeke, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, committee, we know what it is. So listen to this, baby. Through 2 games, Zeke, 16 carries, 56 yards, and a touchdown. That's 2 games. That's 8 carries a game, 23 yards per game, and a half a touchdown.
I mean, again, half a touchdown.
Well, 1 touchdown in 2 games. I'm saying his average.
I know. I'm joking. I'm like, oh, he got like 1 toe over the line. Oh, no. I was going to say, those are the types of stats that Zeke would have had during like maybe one of his worst performances back in the day with us. So
Yeah.
now these are like his regular numbers.
This is 2 games worth. 16 carries, 56 yards.
Yeah, sorry, but this just kind of goes back to what I said earlier in the stream, what I know we've said here a few times, what you guys have said in the chat. Like, this whole running back by committee shit is not working.
I'm going to say Rico Dowdle. Rico Dowdle had 1 less yard than him and 1 less carry. So technically, he's averaging a couple more yards than a little bit more, not yards, but he's averaging a little bit more per carry than Zeke, but he also doesn't have a touchdown. Zeke has a touchdown. So he's got 15 carries for 55 yards in 2 games. Rico Dowdle.
I know, but I think the only reason that Rico doesn't have a touchdown is just because, well, when they were on the goal line, they put Zeke in. That's literally it.
And then, don't forget little man Deuce Vaughn. He only has, in 2 games, he has 3 carries for 15 yards. All 3 carries were inside runs. The worst thing you want to do with Deuce is put him in. You want to put him in space, get him to the outside, throw a screen to him. No. We're running him in the middle. So there you go, guys. In 2 games, 16 carries for Zeke, 15 carries for Rico, and 3 carries for Deuce Vaughn. And you add it all up, 56 yards for Zeke and a touchdown, 55 yards for Rico, and 15 yards for Deuce Vaughn. What is that? Like 130 yards on 34 carries and a touchdown? That's the worst in the NFL, guys. That's horrific. And in fact, and I'll put Zeke back up here, the Cowboys rank 24th in success rate. That means we're not successful. When we run the ball, despite seeing 8+ man boxes on the second fewest amount of plays this season. What does that mean? You guys kind of were saying it's one of the reasons why I'm talking about running back options. Because we have seen 8-man boxes mean they're trying to stop the run. You have less guys in coverage when you do that. They're not respecting our run game. Not because our running backs suck, it's because they don't respect the run game. You don't have to run a lot to have people respect it. They know we can't run.
Yeah.
So we rank 24th in being successful when we see even though we've seen only 8-man boxes, the second least in the NFL. So second least 8-man boxes, meaning nobody cares about our running game. And we're still 24th in being successful running the ball. When you have such little, my point is, when you have such little 8-man boxes, when you're seeing that on offense, you should be one of the top teams running the ball. Not just actually running the ball, but actually in success. In running the ball. The Cowboys, horrific. Guys, again, second least guys in the box to stop the run, and we are 24th in the most successful run game, in the NFL. That's horrible. And even worse than that, the Cowboys have the 5th worst success rate when rushing against light boxes, meaning less than 7 guys, meaning 6 guys or less against our 5 offensive linemen, and we still are the 5th worst successful team running the ball in the NFL. Light boxes, 5th worst, and overall, even though we see the second least heavy 8-man, coverage inside to stop the run, 8-man boxes, we're still 24th in success. I mean, I don't know. I want to laugh and cry at the same time. It's funny. It's horribly funny and depressing. It is not good. And again, I want to reiterate, the Saints and the Ravens won't either. But they don't. When teams don't respect the running game, again, not running all the time. Just when they don't respect the running game, all defenses do, like the Saints did, is drop 8 players back into coverage and dare the Cowboys to beat them on the ground. Dare them to beat them in the air in 8-man coverage. While you have, 3 guys rushing and 8 guys in coverage, they don't have any. No team has any worry about our running game or running scheme or our running backs. So I would say, guys, wouldn't this tell you that, hey, maybe Dalvin Cook will be appearing soon?
I mean, we've kind of all been trying to figure out, week 1, it was like, okay, you could understand it. But even from then, it's like, hey, when are we going to see him?
I hate to say this to you, baby. I know you talk about Jerry Jones. You have some Jerry Jones quotes. But I'm going to say this one. I'm paraphrasing here. Jerry Jones said today that he does not see the Cowboys using Dalvin Cook at running back this week. I don't know if you had that.
So why do we even have him?
So right now, guys, a lot of people are saying let's trade him, but I'm hearing people saying before we would even think about trading Dalvin Cook, we're going to give him a shot on that field eventually, before trade talks happen, if at all. And also, if we really need a running back, why don't we just go poach Buffalo Bill running back Frank Gore Jr. He's a guy we liked. We all like him. We all know him. And the Cowboys liked him. He's right now on the practice squad of the Bills. We can just poach him, put him on our 53, and get rid of Deuce. You want to improve your running backs? That's one way of doing it. Now, Deuce, if we use them right, maybe we wouldn't have to do that with Deuce. But right now, Deuce is not being used properly. Why do we even have him? And if we're not using him in returns, why do we even have? We have Wanye Thomas. I'll talk about that in a minute. Why do we have him, Wanye Thomas, on returns? Like, I don't. All that the fucking Saints did was kick the ball away from Turpin and ticked it to Wanye Thomas. And we got the ball every time at where? 22, 23, 25-yard line instead of the 30. Turpin gets it, we get to the 40. So what does a smart team do? Kick it to the other guy. Where's Deuce? So if you're not going to use Deuce, and you're not going to fucking, then we might as well go pluck someone like Frank Gore Jr. off a practice squad of the Bills and give him a shot, give Dalvin Cook a shot. Why not? At this point, what do we have to lose? I just wish that the scheme would integrate the run game better, and obviously we're not doing that. This whole running back is not working, and we're going to have more committee, it looks like, when it comes to Cook eventually. Now, not this week. I want to make sure everybody is on top of things, where this week we're obviously not using Dalvin Cook according to Jerry Jones. So don't expect him this week. But now we're going to go 3 weeks without Dalvin Cook, and we're going to go 3 weeks with Zeke, Rico, and Deuce Vaughn, who's given us a total of 34 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown in 2 games. Despicable. You know what's not despicable? The man, Mark Hosepian, dropping another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on it.
Woo.
$5 holler. He is about 19 away from completing the re-uppance on the Stream Boss. What did the man, Mark Hosepian, have to say?
I think the running backs suck. And we let go of our best running back. But
Tony Parr looking good over there.
Don't think our offensive line is as badass as peeps say. We have good guys, but they are not studs.
Well, perfect. Thoughts? Hey, brother, Mark must have my playbook today because he knows where I'm going next. I'm done with the running. I'm done abusing the running backs here. I'm done abusing the quarterback. I mean, I'm done abusing the scheme, which I'm blaming. Again, everybody here has a shit sandwich to take a nice big old shitty fucking bite from. You know what I mean? But the way I look at this offensively, let's go to our offensive line. And here's something that's important to note. I want to make sure everybody's on the same page here. Listen to this. We had a great first week against the Browns. But then, guys, what happened to our rookies? At least Tyler Guyton. We know not a good offensive line performance. And I told you guys, Zach Martin and Tyler Smith, the highest 2 rated guys, and they were in like the 60s. That's not good. So, where Tyler, I don't know about Tyler Guyton's, he had a 69.9 pass block grade. So he was 3rd. But guys, Tyler Guyton, he allowed 5 pressures. So, Guyton's allowed 5 or more pressures in his 2nd game in a row. So 2 starts in his career, both of them allowing 5 or more pressures. This game, the first game we know he had Myles Garrett most of the time, right? That's understandable. This game he had Chase Young, who's was good, but went from the Commanders to the Niners. Now he was with the Saints as a backup, but got into the rotation, and guess what he did? He went up against Tyler Guyton, and he's the guy that got all the pressures. So Chase Young had his way with Tyler Guyton, even though, and he's a backup here, while Myles Garrett couldn't do anything against Tyler Guyton. Isn't that something? It's incredible. Anyways, listen to this, guys. Tyler Guyton allowed 5 pressures, 3 hurries. He had 2 penalties. He allowed 1 sack, and he has, again, a 69.9 pass blocking grade. Tyler Guyton had, well, I'll say his worst game of his career. Technically it was, because last game was his best game of his career. So, again, Tyler Guyton as a rookie Not very good. Now, what about the other tackle? Veteran Terrence Steele. Played all the snaps last year, had a good game last week. Guys, Tyler Guyton allowed 5 pressures.
I was going to say,
Terrence Steele,
I remember him.
Yeah. So I'm saying Tyler Guyton allowed 5. Terrence Steele allowed 6. The veteran allowed more pressures than the rookie.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't just my imagination.
Yeah.
I know there was once or twice I remember calling out Terrence Steele just saying, how did you let that guy through? How did you end up as the guy who fucked up there? Well,
Tyler Guyton allowed 5 pressures. Terrence Steele allowed 6. Guyton allowed 3 hurries. Terrence Steele allowed 5 hurries. So already you see, right? They both allowed a sack. The only thing I guess you can say is the penalties. Tyler Guyton had 2 penalties against him, which sucked, and Terrence Steele didn't have any penalties, which thank goodness for that. But as you can tell, guys, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, they were the best 2 by far of our offensive linemen. Tyler Guyton and Terrence Steele as tackles, horrific. Now, I will say one last thing. Cooper Beebe, number 56, allowed 1 pressure in this game. That's it. So in 2 games against the Browns and against the Saints, 2 good defenses, our new center, Cooper Beebe, has allowed just 1 pressure across 87 pass blocking snaps. So at least we know that Beebe is solid right now. Zach Martin, and the guys to his left and right, Zach Martin, Tyler Smith, is solid. Terrence Steele having some issues. And Guyton is, as a rookie, having some issues right now in this game, at least in this game against the Saints. So, in kind of reference to Marco Sepian's, comment, I think I kind of answered it, right, about the offensive line. It just seems a little shaky. It could be better. And it's definitely not so solid like we may have thought. So I hear you, brother. I hear you. Now, let's flip it around real quick, guys. Because I know you have some of the coordinators spoke today and some other people spoke.
Yeah.
So before we get to that, let me just finish saying this. Special teams. Real quick. This is 2 seconds, baby. But special teams, Brandon Aubrey broke a record, guys. NFL record for Brandon Aubrey, our kicker, the best player on our team. I mean, I represented his number 17, literally, for this game. Broke an NFL record. Listen to this. He's 13 for 13. He's never missed. From 50 yards or farther. From plus 50 or farther to begin your career. He's 13 for 13. No one's ever done that in the history of football. So Brandon Aubrey broke a record last year about starting your career not missing a field goal. And he continues that start of his career by still not missing a 50-plus yard field goal. Which is the only guy to ever do that to begin their career. So big shout out to the best player in our team, Brandon Aubrey. And by the way, a guy who's not too far off on special teams as far as our best player is Kevontae Turpin. The thing is, we're not going to see much of him. Why? Guys, 2 weeks in a row, next gen stats. On the only kick return he had against the Saints, and he got us to the 40-yard line, he ran the 11th fastest. He was the 11th fastest ball carrier this year, 20.82 miles per hour. So once the Saints saw that speed and his danger, you know what they did? They stopped kicking to him. They either kicked the ball out of bounds or what do they do? I told you guys what they did.
Yeah, credit where credit's due. There was a very quick adjustment that obviously paid off in a big way because, they basically completely eliminated Turpin from being a factor. 2 ways.
Kicking the ball out of bounds in the back of the end zone. And then in the second half, you know what they did? They kicked it to Wanye Thomas, number 30, who's they just kicked it to the slow guy. The slower guy. If you put Deuce Vaughn out there, I wonder if that changes anything. There's something the Cowboys don't like about Deuce doing kickoff returns. Because to me, it's a no-brainer to put Turpin and Deuce and you make them have to pick their poison. You guarantee the 30 or more if your guy runs it out. So with Wanye Thomas, we don't get guaranteed nothing. Any thoughts on that, baby? Since you're a special teams guru here. I mean, Wanye Thomas running it back can't be doing that, right?
Now, supposedly, if you guys remember, before the Week 1's first game, Bones had said that he had something special up his sleeve and planned for that Turpin-Thomas combo that we saw out there.
We didn't see anything.
I don't know what that is, and honestly, after seeing just how slow Wanye Thomas is compared to Turpin, I'm not questioning Fossil. I just generally have a question for Fossil, which is like, what is it? I'm sure we'll see it at some point, but yeah.
Well, that's the special team side, and we'll talk. I don't know if Fossil said anything today, but I do know Mike Zimmer said a lot of shit today, and he had to talk. And let me just say something about this when it comes to our defense. We talked about offense, special teams in this game. Now let's talk about defense real quick. The Saints' offensive personnel groupings in Week 1. 12 personnel. That means one running back and one receiver and, one tight end and two running backs on that one. They did that 27% of the time. 21 personnel, 2 tight ends and 1 running back, 26% of the time. And 22 personnel, 2 tight ends and 2 running backs, 8%. They did, again, the Saints played 11 personnel, which means 3 receivers. And 11 means 1 tight end, 1 running back. They played 11 personnel, only 32% of the game. That ranked 30th in the NFL. That means that the Saints never really run more than 2 receivers in a play. When they have their 12, 21, and 12 and 22 personnel on that field for about 65% of the time, or about 60% of the time, and then 32% of the time you're playing 11 personnel, that is ranked 30th in the NFL, which means the Cowboys were getting run all over. They were bringing out their bigger, I don't say their bigger guys to make the Cowboys try to stop them on the ground. One of the big takeaways I'll say is this, and you'll hear from the coaches in a minute here, and I talk about the position coaches, the coordinators. The Saints put some stuff on tape that the Cowboys have never. The Saints did things that the Cowboys have never studied yet on tape. That's what we're getting. That's what I'm understanding from what kind of is being said out there. I will say with the Saints defense, with the Saints offense being kind of new with what's his name I forgot his name now. The new coordinator, the new offensive coordinator they have out there. What's his name? Clint Kubiak. He had a great plan against Micah, but he also did a great job in kind of keeping everything kind of secret, locked down a little bit. And again, a newer offense by Clint Kubiak was harder for us to kind of, decipher. This is what Zimmer said as the reasoning for that. We heard McCarthy said today, I didn't see a lack of effort from the defense on it wasn't a lack of effort. Zimmer said it's on me. Micah said it's not on us. Micah said it's on us, not on Zimmer, that they show no effort. So when Parsons says, and I know you have more on Micah, but Micah says this is on us, the defensive players, not the coaching scheme, not Zimmer. It was the players that didn't show effort. That's what Micah said on Monday. Mm-hmm. On Tuesday, was it Monday? I think on Monday, Zimmer earlier said that it's on me. Micah said, no, it's on us. Today, McCarthy said, I did not see a lack of effort, which is what Micah said yesterday. He said we didn't show any effort on defense. McCarthy said today, I didn't see a lack of effort. This is a clusterfuck on defense, on coaching, on the way things are being explained to the world, I guess you can say. Just not a very good situation here for the Cowboys defensively. And then I'm going to continue with some bad information for you guys. When you look at the rushing yards the Saints had, guys, the Saints had 134 of their 190 rushing yards before contact. They were not touched for 134 of those yards.
Might as well have left our defense.
Just resting.
I would have said at home, but this happened at home, so
134 yards. I go another 50 yards. There was contact early. I don't know. To me, this is the definition of consistently losing at the line of scrimmage. And like Mark Hosepian said earlier, and others, it's about the run defensive guys that we put in there. Whether it's Mozzie and Osa, or the backups Linville Joseph and Joseph Dan. What's his name? Jordan Daniels. Jordan Phillips. I'm sorry. Yes, both those guys. Either of those, both these guys and the 2 starters are losing overall. They're losing the offensive line over and over and over again. They're losing the trenches over and over again. They're losing the line of scrimmage and the point of attack over and over again. So all their yards came from pushing our defense back, basically. 134 out of 190 yards. It's very tough to play linebacker competently And we know this when we had, Hankins, you saw, and he played well, you saw how good LVE did. When these guys do bad inside, you see how bad the linebackers do. So when you can't trust your defensive tackles to stay in their gaps, you're consistently having to take tougher angles as a linebacker with 300-plus pound blockers coming in your face. So the linebackers against the Saints were not good. Damone Clark, Eric Kendricks, Overshown when he was in there. It wasn't in there that much. Maurice Leau-Fowl, all four of these guys were not good. But it's easy to see why they were indecisive and they looked worse. Why? Because, and why did they take on blocks in a poor kind of way and they were run over? Why? Because the interior defensive line were not holding their blocks. And this is a problem I've always talked about. When you have the interior defensive line getting pushed back, the linebackers are going to get wrecked. Linebacker snaps for the Cowboys, week 2. Eric Kendricks, 53 snaps. Damone Clark, 39. Okay. You know who had third most? 39 for Damone Clark. 37 snaps for Maurice Leau-Fowl. And Overshown, only 17 snaps? And when he was in there, he looked good. Why, Zimmer? Why? Why did we do this with... I don't know. I don't know the answer to this. Something doesn't seem right. But, last week, Overshown against the Browns played 44 snaps. He only played 17, 18 this week against the Saints. I don't think it's only because, like Zimmer said today, New Orleans played more 12 and 21 and 22 personnel. That forced us to play more base defense. That's what Zimmer said today. And like I said already, that's an excuse for the Cowboys. It didn't help. To play the bigger defensive, linebackers or whatever he was excusing it for, whatever he said did not help. Whatever we did in this game did not help. So Overshown should have been used more, in my opinion. He should be with the ones. He should at least have 30 to 40 snaps every game, not 17 or 18 snaps. This is on Zimmer. I'm going to put this on Zimmer. The snaps for Overshown. Yeah. Another part of this thing, which
now actually, I think I do, and again, I think we'll hear about it more when we go through the quotes. I'm actually not sure if it was quoted by a coach or if it was just I want to say it was Patrick Walker, voice of the star, who maybe mentioned it, that he asked the coaches and stuff like that. But basically the same thing. Like, why did we see such little bit of Overshown? Actually has more to do with his injury. So remember, he's still coming off of that,
So they're taking him light.
ACL tear, so they are still working him in and managing his snaps
so
and
last
things
week,
like that. So that has more to do with it.
Last week they gave him 44 snaps. This week they cut it in half, basically.
Yeah,
and then next week it might get back to 44.
I think it was one of those things where maybe they feel like they overdid it with him in that week 1 situation. I don't know exactly how many snaps they wanted to give him or expected to give him, but
I think also the defense, the way that...
Or maybe he found himself more tired, No,
because they didn't play him early on. They played Leau-Fowl. He kind of was in the game more in the second half. I think it was more the fact that Zimmer got a little confused because he admitted it. He did not expect to see some things that the Saints showed, never seen on film yet. and because of that, he was expecting to use, I think Leau-Fowl more, and then force himself to kind of like stick with Leau-Fowl because he's maybe the better middle linebacker type, which is what fit the 12, like said, 22, and 21 personnel.
Whatever it is that Zimmer had game plan involved Leau-Fowl in a bigger way.
Yeah.
Let's be real. Zimmer seemed a little flustered there.
He's got to adjust better,
so
right?
It sounds like he just wasn't willing to make some of those in-game adjustments, or at least didn't feel comfortable, was whatever the reason was. You just didn't do it. So
that's unfortunately, a pretty big problem. So the Saints, and I want to add to that because when you look at the defense, I don't know the defensive interior, the run game. What about the pass game, the pressure? There was none of it. Where was Micah? Even with the bad game Micah had, and I would say it's really more the better system was used by the Saints than it was Micah having a bad game. When you look at this, guys, Micah was actually the best, highest graded guy in our team, even with all the mistakes. 86.2 was his grade, which is almost elite for Micah. Believe it or not, Micah almost had an elite game, analytically speaking. Let me put Micah up on here. He deserves it. So Micah Parsons.
I have to be honest, I find that hard to believe, but I know the stats don't lie. So.
The analytics, it's hard to lie with the analytics. So he had 86.2. Chauncey Golson was second, 72.1. Damone Clark, 67. a PFF number, grade. Tyrus Wheat, our third string defensive edge, you got a 62.5. And finally, DeMarcus Lawrence snuck in there with a 62.1. I'm just saying, outside of Micah Parsons, Chauncey Golston, and Luke Schoonmaker, everyone else was in the 60s or worse. That's a horrific game overall, even though Micah had a great game by our team standards, and he was our best player. He was shut down pretty much. And why? Well, I'll tell you a couple. How about I tell you a couple of reasons why, and then you can go talk about what everyone said, the players, the coaches, the front office. The Saints used motion, like we knew, 74% of their plays. They did it week 1, 42%. They basically doubled that. They used motion 74% of their plays. I'm not counting kneel downs in this. And they averaged 9.5 yards per play with a 61.5 success rate. They just, every play that they went in motion, they did just fucking put our dicks in the dirt. And that's how easy they did it to us. That's on the run side of things. That's on the pass side of things. And then again, how many pressures the Cowboys generate? Do you know how many? We barely even, we generated 6 pressures on 17 dropbacks against Derek Carr. 6 pressures, and that's maybe. We only had a 35.3 pressure rate. That's the 4th lowest in a game. In any game since the 2023 season. I'm sorry, since the start of since last year. Since the start of last year, guys. So this was the worst game you could imagine right now when it comes to, getting pressure on the quarterback. One of the 4th worst game we've had in a year. I know I said that we had 6 pressures, but the numbers show here 5. Micah had 3 pressures. DeMarcus Lawrence had 1, and Osa had 1. And that's the story. That's it? On 17 dropbacks. Pretty bad, right? So the plan by Clint Kubiak, the offensive coordinator, was this. Listen to this. This was something maybe we didn't see all the time because Micah disappeared, but I did see it a couple times when I kind of did some research, and I realized that that Kubiak, Saints coordinator, his plan on Micah was impressive. Why? Number 1, he did not put Derek Carr in straight back drops, where Micah could attack, constantly, knowing where he's going to be at. So he didn't put him in straight drops. And when he did put him in straight back, just a regular, drop back situation, what did Clint Kubiak's offense do? He committed 2 people to Parsons, but not in the same time, not double teaming him, in waves. So what do I mean by that? He brought 2 guys to block him in waves. He had a guy in motion hit him. Then a running back, would check out and then hit him too. Once he got through one of those, a second blocker was right in his face. Sometimes he'd go up against the blocker, get past the blocker, and deal with the running back. He was double teamed, not at the same time. He was double teamed in waves. Keep that in mind for the future. Other teams will take this and use this against Micah. They ran at him, which we know is possible against Micah, but it was more impressive that when it was a pass rush time, they did not leave Derek Carr in the same spot all the time. They moved them around a little bit, and they made sure that Micah had to get through 2 guys at 2 different times on every play they were going back and going on a straight drop back. So that you got to give big time shout out to Clint Kubiak, the way he did it with guys in motion, with running backs, clipping him, checking him, chipping him, and then another blocker that he had to then work into, 2 seconds after the first block. He had to work into another 2-second block. So that's how they decided to slow him down. And I will also say Micah Parsons was noticeably a little bit slower off the ball than usual. I'm not sure if there's something going on. It just seemed like he had a little bit of a limp. I don't say a limp, but he was just like getting up a little bit there, right? Because New Orleans was moving the ball on the ground and running a lot of play action. So Micah was tired from running at him, and also play action made him slow down for a second or move them out of the spot where Derek Carr was. He was focusing on where Carr would be. So give big time credit to the Saints, and I really hope there's not a blueprint on how to slow down and stop Micah Parsons. That could be the biggest issue from this. If that's the case, trade Micah as soon as possible.
If that's the case, then it's time for Zimmer to come up with some new shit.
He better. He's a coach. It's his job.
Big mahalo.
Hell yeah.
To the man Marco Seppi.
Hell yeah.
With another $5 holler.
Well,
you know what he had to say?
Well, with that 5 on it, he's up to 86 Schoonmaker points. I know he's got to move that out the way. Much love the Mark. What did he have to say?
Honestly, how many players on defense do other teams fear or respect? Micah and Diggs for sure, but who else? And I'm not talking superstars, just a guy that you have to watch.
DeMarcus Lawrence.
I was going to say, on our team, there's only a handful outside of those two guys that you mentioned. Like you said, Tank, Deron Bland, I would include on that list.
When he's there, yeah. I agree with Deron Bland. But he's not there now, right? But DeMarcus Lawrence is not a superstar, but he definitely gives guys trouble.
He's like just guys that other teams say, okay, just make sure you watch that one.
I mean, outside of the other guys like Kendricks, who just has to do his job, you know what I'm saying? An Overshown who could be scary. Yeah, outside of Trayvon Diggs, Deron Bland when he's healthy, Micah Parsons, and DeMarcus Lawrence, technically, he does give like guys like Lane Johnson. A lot of guys say he's one of the hardest guys to block, so they do have to, there is trouble there, but it's not. Yeah, we have 4 guys that could be scary, 2 guys that are definitely scary, and maybe a 5th guy like Overshown that could come up. But if you have even 5 guys that are kind of scary on a defense, if you get to that point, there's no excuses. We got the players. It's the scheme. It's got to be the coaching. Because if we got 2 scary players right now, a 3rd one when Bland's healthy, you can say that DeMarcus Lawrence is not the greatest, but he's still trouble for some offensive linemen. And you throw in there Overshown, if he gets more snaps and he plays the way he did that, even this game he played great, Overshown, I think. You got 5 scary guys possibly on this team, right? 5 out of 11, which means you only have 6 not as scary guys. Mm-hmm. You still got Jordan Lewis in the slot. That's kind of scary to some teams. He's one of the better slot cover guys. You got our safeties got embarrassed, but they were pretty solid until this last game. Interior is where we have those interior guys is the biggest weakness, without question. Yeah. So, anyways, I hear you and I feel you, Mark. Trust me, I do. I answered it the best I could. You know what I'm saying? Like, I truly think teams have to scheme against DeMarcus Lawrence as well. I do think teams are scared of Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland when he's there. And Micah, of course, we know they got a scheme for him. We'll see if teams start to get a little more scared. I think by the end of the year, we'll know about Overshown being that 5th scary guy in the defense. Anyways, the defense right now is looking like a wet paper towel. Mike Zimmer got to get his shit fixed, and I know he spoke. Zimmer. I don't know if you want to start. I mean, we can start with whoever you want, but we're just talking defense. That's why. I don't know. It's up to you, baby. The microphone is yours. We can put whoever you want up, or whatever order you have in there.
Yeah, sorry to break some hearts
it's all good.
Here, but we're actually rolling.
Let's take a break on the defense.
Yeah, we're actually rolling back even further than that, because remember, after the game, we got to hear from some of our teams.
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Let's go ahead and...
After the Saints game, yeah?
Yeah, so Jerry said, after the Saints game, quote, "Extraordinarily disappointing. We will correct this. We will improve."
All right.
We'll see.
We have to hope.
He also said this is early, very, very early. We certainly didn't see this coming. Obviously, we've got a lot of room for improvement here.
Obviously.
So, Dak also said that he feels very confident that we're going to be able to bounce back from this loss, saying we're going to learn from it. That was a good team. You got to give them credit. This is the NFL. It's about trusting the process and responding. Oh. I know we have the guys to do that, and I'm honestly excited to get back to work and turn this page.
You heard me sigh because he used the Garrettism again.
Yeah, he said trust the process.
When you say whenever anyone says trust the process, look what happens to the screen, baby.
It's been a while since we saw that.
My boy, Cowboy Thomas, but it's a Jason Garrett lookalike, Anyways, trust the process, according to I said Garrett, according to Dak, which is not good.
Dak was also asked, how surprising was your performance on Sunday? He said, well, it's surprising, but it's the NFL. Hell, I'm thinking it'd be nice to be doing that on our side of the ball more than I'm worried or critiquing our defense. Obviously, that's a good team. Alvin Kamara looked damn good. Derek Carr put the ball where he needed to, and that offense is rolling right now. Credit to the play caller over there and to that team for coming out and being ready on a noon start. It made it tough on our defense, which made it tough on the whole team, and I'm trying to get there with our offense.
At least he gave credit to... I'll say credit. He gave credit to the offense of the Saints. Yeah, they ran all over us, threw all over us. A great play calling game.
So he basically said, he's like, I wish our offense was rolling like that. So do we, Dak. Yeah. going back to that little Micah Parsons comment that you had mentioned, where there was a kind of back and forth of like, oh no, it's our fault. Oh no, it's our fault. So Micah, this is what he actually said, quote.
Was this after the game, or was this on his podcast?
I think this was on his podcast.
Okay. I don't even speak after the game.
Actually, no, this was after the game.
Did it? Okay.
Yeah, so this was after the game. He made a similar but different comment on his podcast. Micah said, quote, to me, it had nothing to do with the scheme. I thought Mike Zimmer called a pretty good game. At the end of the day, I just believe we got outplayed. Whoever played on that field, everybody didn't play to 100%, and that's just me being accountable and saying the truth. We all got to play better.
No doubt. I agree with Dak saying that, but saying it, doing it, I want to see more of him doing it,
well,
and the team doing it. Let me put it that way.
And Trayvon Diggs also said, quote, it was just one little thing, but he said it was just, and this was after the game, it was just unacceptable. I'm not going to make no excuses, but it's unacceptable. We didn't come to play today.
That's for sure. And that's everybody, including Trayvon.
So,
very bad game.
Those are all the official post-game comments that I wanted to either highlight or mention there.
Coaching time.
Yes. So
the head honcho, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, we are going to start with Mike McCarthy. So first of all, as far as the loss yesterday, he said, I wouldn't say it's an effort issue. I think it really was that they were quicker to the first punch than we were, and they finished better than we did.
So they were quicker to the first punch, and you say faster than we?
He said they were quicker to the first punch and finished better than we did.
Boy. And it's not like one player. It's like as a team, as an organization, as a scheme, they just beat us off the ball every time. Offense, defense, doesn't matter. That's coaching, Mike. But it's funny because Micah, the night before, said it was on us. We didn't show enough effort. Mike McCarthy, when he was asked about what do you think about Micah's comments about not showing effort, said, I saw effort. They showed effort. Ugh, what's going on?
I don't even know what to say there. Mike McCarthy was also asked, how surprised were you when you were watching some of the film again from the game? He said, I wouldn't say I was surprised. I was disappointed like everyone else. We did not improve from week 1 to week 2. That was the biggest disappointment.
I'm telling you.
I mean, hey, can you blame
the
Big Mac? Oh.
No, Jerry spoke. We're going to go back to Jerry later.
I wanted to do the coaches first just because, honestly, I think what the coaches said and did was a little more relevant to some of the things we were just discussing. The
Saints game, yeah.
Yeah, so.
And the next part of Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones, it's more about what happened, but what's going on in the future, which is what the next step is going to be on our stream here. So I did want to say Luis Ortiz, though, when they had Jerry Jones on, he said he wanted them to ask him how long we're going to hear trusting the process when there is no process, or there is no progress, I should say. We're going to trust the process with no progress is what he wanted them to ask. Trust me, these announcers, they will never ask the tough questions. Never. Because it's like Jerry Jones is the monopoly guy here. He owns everything. So if you talk wrongly to Jerry, or you ask the wrong question to Jerry, you ask a smart-ass question to Jerry gets pissed, and then he'll give you no information. He fucking blacklisted Jane Slater for like a year. So trust me, these reporters know Jerry Jones holds all the cards. They got to kiss his ass. They will never ask that question, although I agree with you, Luis Ortiz. Please, let's ask Jerry the real questions. Anyways, Jerry's right there. He'll give you the answer. He said, I won't pay them too much. Anyways, back to you, baby.
Final little thing here from McCarthy. He said that after their 2:00 meeting, team meeting, that, that's it. They're moving on to Baltimore. He said that the Cowboys looked like an inexperienced football team against the Saints, and that he's calling on the veterans to pull us through this. So, if I'm just saying, you're kind of getting a feel for where the blame game is happening. And just because it's related to this current discussion, before I get to the Zimmer comments, I did want to read that one Micah Parsons comment that he made on his podcast. So this is what he said today on his podcast.
Well, this is Micah, right?
Yes. That's what I...
Okay, no, I want to make sure I put him on the screen right.
Okay. So Micah said, the effort was not there by all 11. You have a standard, and we didn't uphold that standard. I'm determined to get this thing right. So he, once again, doubles down on the lack of effort from the player's side, not the fuck up from the coaching side of things. Yeah, so, I just wanted to throw that out there. So, now, Zimmer made kind of an interesting comment, and I will need your help a little bit here, my love, because I don't know about this pickle juice game.
All right, I see it.
So, when Zimmer was a coordinator back in 2000, the Cowboys allowed 306 rushing yards to the Eagles in what I guess is called the pickle juice game. Please tell me that sounds
Yeah,
like
I think that
familiar?
Yeah, I think that was a game. Was it where the guys drank pickle juice to get electrolytes back or something like this? I think that's what it was.
I don't know. I'm just letting you know. It's apparently the pickle juice game.
You guys let me know. Remind me what that was.
A big thing. Makes
forgot.
me kind of want some pickles. Anyway, but now in his second game back against the Saints, we gave up 190 rushing yards. Zimmer said, I vowed to fix it after that, okay? So if I didn't fix those, I wouldn't be standing here today. I mean, I guess he feels like he fixed it. I don't know.
I don't know what the relevance is there.
That
Pickle juice game, because
look,
if they allowed 300 yards on the ground,
that was the last time that he was a coach with the Cowboys and some or.
What year was that? What year?
2000.
Oh yeah. Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I forgot that game. Someone remind me of the pickle juice game. I don't know why I went brain dead.
I already told you. I have to be honest. I didn't know it. I didn't know about the pickle juice game, so I had to.
Someone tells me about it. I'll be, oh yeah, that's it. But I know it's so familiar.
It's all right. I'll let you kind of.
Jerry in the chat said that Jera Jones said, I told Jane, keep it up and you get 5 nights at Diddy's. You don't ask the wrong question, Jerry. He sends you to Diddy's house.
Hey, I'm waiting for that picture of Jerry and P. Diddy partying somewhere.
Yeah, we know. Well, I'm not going to stop that. I say, watch the After Dark and you'll know who else was partying with Diddy.
Now, Zimmer also had this to say as far as yesterday's loss. I don't really think it was an effort issue. That team beat us off the snap quite a few times. We didn't get moving quick enough, and I've just got to do a better job.
So Zimmer's taking the blame.
But you know what?
But it sounds like because the players weren't getting off fast enough.
I'm going to be the first one to say it. It is refreshing that instead of trying to throw every motherfucker under the bus, both sides are basically taking it on themselves. Like Micah from the players' side is saying, no, us players, we fucked up. We got to do better. And then Zimmer on his side is basically saying, no. Me on the coaching side, I fucked up. Yeah. I got to do better. Like...
It's good, but it's also worrisome, baby. You know why? Because nobody knows whose fault it is. It could continue the rest of the year.
The alternative is Micah saying, our coaches fucking suck. This motherfucker doesn't know how to run a scheme from his asshole. And then Zimmer is like, players? What players? Oh, anyway, sorry.
We don't need players.
That was it.
Well, that's Zimmer. Did Zimmer say anything else?
He did. He said that he wouldn't necessarily have Overshown spying on Lamar Jackson this upcoming Sunday, saying, even though he had some success doing that against Watson in week 1, he said that we might have Micah do it because he's pretty athletic and fast. So I think this is just one of those Zimmer's trying to not give everything away type of things.
I think that, Zimmer...
Or maybe it has to do with what I had said earlier. Overshown snap count is being...
monitored.
Slightly more monitored, slightly more limited. Obviously, Michael Parsons is not. I don't know.
I just think Mike can be used more efficiently and more, ball wrecking effectively if you're rushing a quarterback most of the time, not spying the quarterback. But I think Overshown would be a great guy to use for that. And again, maybe like you said, maybe he's just trying to throw off, the Ravens by just saying, hey, we're not really going to use them. We're going to do our thing the way we're going to do it.
One of the things that caught Zimmer off guard, too, he said that the Cowboys have never had a practice look like the way that they played yesterday against the Saints. He said these guys are typically on point and do everything the right way. So even in our sloppiest,
practices,
ugliest looking practice, we haven't looked that bad.
I also think some of this kind of starts to point out that a lot of the things we didn't see, the players and the coaches, including Zimmer, just never seen some of the... Like, if we play the Saints week 10 or 12, different story. I think a different story defensively, coaching-wise. But we never... Like, there are some new things on the field that Zimmer and the players had not seen yet, ever. So it's like a brand new play. They were caught off guard multiple times, and it showed.
So that was it as far as our coaches.
Oh, no Schottenheimer, no Shotty or Fossil, really?
No,
Speak
nothing,
of,
nothing really. Again, nothing worth mentioning. It was just like,
if anything major comes out,
we'll do better.
We'll pick up the scraps. If anything comes out, we'll pick up the scraps on Friday and get you that if we missed anything. Anything fell through the cracks. Of course, most of the stuff we're going to talk about on Friday will be all the injury report stuff. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday injury report for this Baltimore game, along with anything else, any pickups, moves, or updates on players. But anyways, enough of me, baby. Who else spoke?
Well, we heard from
you gotta let me have it.
The Jones family.
Oh, not again.
We're gonna start with Steven and end things with Jerry Jones.
All right. Well, you know what? I'm gonna knock them both out by saying, "Bam, clown
Perfect.
show."
So Steven Jones had this to say on 105 through the Fam. As far as having confidence in Zimmer, he said, "Quote: He knows this game well. He's been a very successful coordinator, a very successful head coach. We have all the confidence in the world that he's going to put these guys in the right spot. He did a great job in that first week, and we just came up against the Saints team that's hot."
That's the answer? All right.
I mean, hey, that's what he had to say.
Which one was that? Which of these two Joneses was that?
This was Steven.
All right.
The good news is, the only good news to come out of this, Steven Jones did kind of confirm that Jake Ferguson was actually what he calls, quote, real close to having played that Sunday. So even though he was doubtful, it sounds like it was closer than you would expect. He threw out there the expectation is for him to be back this week. So, like we kind of assumed, just good to have that, I guess, officially confirmed by Steven.
Yeah, I mean, again, guys, I know that we didn't really use the tight ends that much, but you see Fergie back there, Ferguson. He's definitely going to be needed, and it sounds like he can play this week. We'll see. We'll watch we'll talk about the Baltimore game now a little more. We'll watch the injury report, see what Jake Ferguson is doing. If he did not practice all week, probably won't play. If he had a limited practice this week, especially Friday, he may just play. We'll see what happens.
So, now moving to Jerry.
And before we go there, I just want to touch on the pickle juice thing. Jerry Jones said the pickle juice game, and this now I remember now, it was an NFL regular season game between the Eagles and the Cowboys on September 3rd, 2000. Was that the game I just talked about that we got blown out 44-14? That was our worst opening game.
I mean, yeah,
showing.
probably.
I think that was the one.
Rushed for 306 yards.
Yeah, again, and the reason why is it's a big pickle juice game because the pickle juice was used to prevent cramps from the higher temperatures September 3rd in Dallas. The game is remembered for the Eagles using the pickle juice to help keep them hydrated and to prevent muscle cramps because of those high temperatures in Texas that day. And I remember that game. It was just a blowout. I try to forget about it. But yeah, it was the pickle juice game because the Eagles used pickle juice as their secret weapon against the Cowboys to stay hydrated and not cramping. There you go. Thank you, Jera. Thank you, Jera.
Thank you for that wonderful update.
Yeah.
Pickle juice.
Pickle juice.
So Jerry Jones had lots of very good things to say about our running backs and our current run game, which leads into what you had pointed out, baby. He did confirm he doesn't, quote, necessarily see a change that involves Dalvin Cook this week. So obviously he was asked about potentially adding another running back in the future then. He said, I like where we are with our running backs. We've got good depth. We just didn't get to run them enough on Sunday.
3 runs.
The problem is with their snap count, not with their abilities.
3 runs for Deuce Vaughn in 2 games. 15 runs for Rico Dowdle in 2 games. And number 15 got 16 carries in 2 games. I'm going to leave it at that. And by the way, one of those games we're winning by a lot. Still barely ran. And that was week 1 against the Browns.
Jerry Jones was also asked about the potential impact of a loss like the one we just had on Sunday being made worse by the fact that McCarthy is on his last year of his contract. So Jerry said, quote, I don't think where he is in his contract has anything to do with the week 1 win at Cleveland, where we were giving accolades out to him and Zimmer on how he played on Sunday. We're trying to get this team ready and in place to really make a run at the playoffs. On any given Sunday, you can have a bad day in the NFL. If we've got any albatross around our neck, it's that we've been a good to the very good team during the season over the last 4 to 5 years with Mike, and we haven't done well in the playoffs. So let's trade some challenges during the season for doing well in the playoffs, if you want to look at it that way. I wish it worked that way, Jerry. you could just end up having a bad season and bad playoffs if you get that far.
He just wants to be competitive, so he gets the money. Competitive is important. Winning the Super Bowl, not as big of a deal for Jerry. Trust me on that.
Jerry also had this to say because he was asked, what does Zimmer have to say about this defensive performance? So Jerry said, we can improve. That's something that we can correct. He was also asked, do you feel like there weren't enough maybe in-game defensive adjustments? Jerry said, no, not at all. We can do this, and we can do it with the personnel that we've got out there right now. I'm as excited about those players, and there's many of them, young players, a couple of them newer players, as I've been around any in a long time. So...
Again, they're hyping up the young guys to be the ones taking over, and we're in good shape. But it takes time for young guys, even high draft picks, to solidify themselves in the NFL unless they're special. They want them all to be special right now, and I'm just gonna tell you guys a little secret. It's just not. No matter how good they're looking, feeling, and acting, it's just not gonna. The Joneses are relying on pipe dream, fool's gold, to save this team and to save this season, so they can still cash in. Even if we don't cash in the playoffs or even winning in the playoffs, which I don't know if we're going to get there. So as of right now, we got to wait and see how this team plays itself out.
By the way, Jerry said that everything looks on go for Jake Ferguson, but that they do want to see how he looks in this week of practice, just to be extra sure that he's going to be good to go.
It matches to what everybody else said, what Steve Jones said, and the way that the coaches also spoke about, McCarthy spoke about him. So good news for Jake Ferguson. It sounds like he's back this week. And again, if for some reason he's not back this week, definitely next week. I think Dalvin Cook might be back next week off the practice squad, possibly. Before any trading possibilities occur, people have been talking about maybe he's going to get traded. I would hold up on that, at least until he gets a shot to run the ball first in Dallas. But that's in 2 weeks from now. This week, we hope we'll get Jake Ferguson back. That's my hope. Anything else, baby?
No, that was it.
All right, well, on the finale portion of this here, okay, you can hit the chat up. I don't know if there's any comments in there, but I have just a couple last-second things to speak on here about guess who and guess what.
Who?
Yeah, a bird. These motherfuckers, the Ravens. We got to crush their souls. It's going to be tough. This is a good team. Actually, let me do this so it looks a little bit better. You guys, by the way, baby, I want you to announce to everybody, if you don't mind, and show them the new emojis.
Oh, of course.
You have to. If you guys have been here and for a while, you probably have to refresh your screen, so you got to leave and come back. But if you do that, check out. If you're in the membership, check out the new emojis of the Ravens. I say the anti-Raven emojis. Let's put them that way, right? I did add one of Mike McCarthy in there, by the way.
Is there a new McCarthy one?
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
It's the clown.
I see it.
McCarthy the clown. But
Nah.
anyways, point is, kill the fucking Baltimore Ravens. I have a couple other ones for you guys as well coming up soon when it comes to the funnies here. But by the way, I did not forget about you, Jet Lee 44. I think he's in the house in here somewhere. Again, he is the Cash App King. But Jet Lee 44 also dropped another $2 holler. And that was, I'm sorry, like an hour ago. And I missed it completely. I'm sorry. He dropped the $1.24. And then he dropped a $2 holler here concurrently. Puts him in first place with what? Over $3 in the Cash App. Leading the Cash App. Trying to go back to back. Like our 90s Cowboys. Big shout out to Jet Lee. And the place to be. He's still in third on the overall board, though. Big shout out to you, though, brother. Appreciate you. So as we wrap it up here, guys, I do want to finish up by kind of giving us a quick preview of what to expect on these Ravens. On Friday, we're going to break it down. On Friday, we're going to give you the matchups to watch. We're going to give you the ways to victory for the Cowboys. But tonight, we're going to give you a quick overview. First and foremost, listen to this, baby. Entering Week 3, there are currently 9 2-0 undefeated teams. There's 9 no-win teams that are 0-2. And the rest of the league, 1-1, of course. 14 teams. So 9 2-0, 9 0-2, and 14 5 split games there. And then when it comes to this upcoming game against the Ravens, we start off as home favorites by 1.5 points, and within 24 hours it shifted the entire opposite direction. Right now, the Cowboys are 1.5 point home underdogs. So it literally shifted 3 points in a span of 24 hours. Which shows you the Cowboys seem to be a little bit, the stock is going down for the Cowboys, even with the Ravens being 0-2. They lost to the Raiders last week. I don't know how. So again, it's going to be on Fox. Guess who's doing it, baby? For the third week in a row, it's their number one crew.
Brady.
Well, yeah, it's the number one crew for the Fox channel there. Third game in a row, week 3, that the Dallas Cowboys have Fox's number one broadcasting crew: Kevin Burkhardt, Tom Brady, Aaron Andrews, and Tom Rinaldi. So again, this is basically the unofficial broadcast crew of the Dallas Cowboys, the national broadcast crew of the Cowboys. And since 2021, I want to reiterate this, right? We lost this game. Since 2021, McCarthy, the Cowboys are 12-2 in the games following a loss. Now, 2020, I know we had McCarthy, but that was also COVID year. So let's skip that one. Give that a mulligan.
Yeah, wasn't Dak hurt that year too?
I think so. But in 2021, the Cowboys 12-2 when we lost after a game that we lost. We've won 12 games. I guess since 2021, we've only lost 14 regular season games. We've only gotten back-to-back losses since 2021 twice. And all the other times we've won our following games. So, again, that is tied with the Buffalo Bills with being the best in the NFL over the last 3+ seasons. Will it continue against the Ravens? We shall see. Being the Ravens would make us 13-3 after a loss since 2021. Probably the best at that point would be better than Buffalo. Since 2021, we'll be the best team in the NFL at this, following a loss. Now, for a little kind of insight, though, I do want to say this week against the Baltimore game, this Baltimore Raven game, we have with the 12-2 wins after following a loss is an 85.7% winning percentage. So again, that is just incredible. Great. It tells you a lot about McCarthy's ability to bounce back and win the next week, or maybe we just happen to play an easier team. I don't know. Either way, this is not an easier team. If anything, it's a harder team, even with the record being 0-2. Cowboys are going to be hosting the Baltimore Ravens on Sunday afternoon in Dallas, a team that we have beaten only once in franchise history.
Yeah.
Do you remember when that was? Again, the Baltimore Ravens are a newer team, remember. They're not the Indianapolis Colts or the Cleveland Browns. They move around and went back to being not the Baltimore Colts, but the Baltimore Ravens. So, do you remember when that game happened? The Ravens game?
I don't.
The last time we played the Ravens was in Dallas. The last time we played them in Dallas was 8 years ago. That was Dak and Zeke's rookie season.
Oh, damn.
It was the first game following Tony Romo's, quote, football is a meritocracy speech. If you recall, guys, we used the run game to help Dak keep. We played good defense and the run game. We did win that game. That was the only game we've ever beaten them. The Baltimore Ravens, not the Baltimore Colts, or the Cleveland. I'm talking about the Indianapolis Colts. I'm about the Baltimore Ravens. The only time, and they've been around for maybe 30 years, maybe. The only time we beat them was 8 years ago. 4 years ago, we lost in Baltimore, and to Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. But this last time we beat them at all was the last time we played them at AT&T Stadium, and that was Dak's rookie year. With Romo kind of knowing that he had to give up that starting role at that point. That was the week after that. The Cowboys, again, when it comes to this, now forget about 8 years ago. This game, the Cowboys, I'll give you a couple quick hints of what we might be looking for at this Ravens game. We can probably, I think we'll have an advantage using play action on offense against the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense have allowed opposing passers to complete 13 out of 13 play action passes for 91 yards and a touchdown. So it makes them the only defense to allow a 100% completion percentage on play action passes. So if there's any weakness to this very good defense, play action, freezing those linebackers, that's where it's at. Just a little insight of, again, in only two games, but they have weaknesses. It starts with doing play action against them. Slows down their pass rush, kind of makes their linebackers just kind of hold up for a half a second. So that's something to look at. If you look at the Cowboys, how are we in play action? Well, against this horrible game we played against the Saints, Dak's horrible game, Dak completed 6 out of 6 passes in play action passes for 96 yards and a touchdown against the Saints, the only touchdown. And this is something I've been saying we should be doing a lot of play action we should be doing. So again, Dak 6 for 6, 96 yards against the Saints. We got blown out. But yet the Ravens, they've allowed 13 out of 13 play action passes this entire year for 91 yards and a touchdown. So 100% completion percentage when you do play action against the Ravens. Of course, we'll probably do a play action pass and it'll be incomplete and it'll be the first time they stop it. I can see that happening. But I'm just giving you guys a little insight here. Play action, we do it well. They suck dick at it. Let me put it that way. Is that nice enough for me to put it that way? I don't know. But my point is that, I mean, play action is one of the keys, in my opinion, to victory coming up. We're not there yet, but it's going to be one of the keys to victory against these Ravens. In our offensive scheme, that comes down to not Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy has to call the right game, and that means use a lot more play action, baby. Not just 6 times, a little bit more often. Now, the last thing I want to say, the last final thing about this game is back to the biggest issue you guys have been complaining about, kind of, on offense at least, and that is the running game and Ezekiel Elliott. Let me explain. Zeke just needs 40 rushing yards this week to get over 9,000 for his career. Now, against the Saints, how many yards did he run for? 40 yards, exactly. So if Zeke runs against a very tough Ravens defense, if Zeke can get 40 yards, at least 40 or more yards against the Saints, he would be the 40th running back all time to ever reach 9,000 yards. So again, 40 yards is what he needs to get 9,000. He rushed for 40 against the Saints last week. If he does rush for at least 40 or more, he'll be the 40th running back in history to reach that number. So in my opinion, 40 is a very magical number this week for the Cowboys. At least for the running back situation and Ezekiel Elliott. Now, I do want to make a mention, though. It's been bothersome for me as a Cowboy fan, hoping our run game gets going. But per PFF, the most carries among running backs right now that have not forced a missed tackle, Ezekiel Elliott is number 1. He has 17 runs, 16 or 17 rushes, and he has not forced a missed tackle all year. That's the guy, that's the running back with the most attempts without causing a missed tackle. So the non-explosive Zeke from 2 years ago, from last year with the Patriots, still here with the Cowboys. Even if he looked better in week 1, he's still not that explosive guy anymore. And it's showing, like I said, he can't even force missed tackles anymore. 0 missed tackles forced by him and Rico Dowdle.
Yeah.
But Zeke, with a couple more opportunities, 17 runs with no forced missed tackles. I mean, come on. The Cowboys, we average only 2.5 yards per carry on 8 first down runs between the first, second, and third quarters on Sunday. So I just want to say this, guys. We're averaging 2.5 yards, baby. 2.5 yards on first down. Again, we had a lot of first. Let's say we had 15 first down attempts or whatever. 8 of those first downs we ran, and those first downs we ran, we only got 2.5 yards average. That is
horrible.
Beyond horrible, guys, on a first down. And I'm not counting the fourth quarter when things opened up a little bit because they played prevent. I'm talking about the first 3 quarters when, we were still trying to utilize a little bit of the running game. So what I'm thinking, and again, this goes back to pushing the line, our offensive line getting that push. We did not get that against the Saints. Run blocking has a lot still left to be desired. So, I mean, this goes on Schottenheimer. He's the guy that creates a lot of the running calls and the running plays. Creators in the backfield right now, unfortunately, meaning Zeke, Rico Dowdle, and Deuce, very little creative, running backs that can create stuff back there. And so you have to kind of help out the running back schematically. You can't just run them into this. You can't run Deuce Vaughn in the same play you run Zeke into. We've said this in the offseason. And what did the Cowboys do? They ran Deuce Vaughn like Zeke. That's for 3 plays in 2 games. So, again, you just got to be smart about how you use a running back committee. This is on the coaching. This is on Schottenheimer / McCarthy. I think more on Schottenheimer really on this one. So, again, when you look at the defense we played in Cleveland, you look at the defense we played at home against the Saints, 2 good defenses. Guess what the Baltimore Ravens do? They got a damn good defense, and they are second in the NFL in yards per carry for running backs. Second best. So if there's something they're going to do is they're going to stop that run. There's something we got to try to do is play action. We can freeze our linebackers and attack the second and third levels. That's it's obvious. We're not going to be able to run against this Baltimore Raven team. We got to at least try. We got to at least show something. We got to use our guys creatively and help them out schematically. If we do that, we can at least maybe scare them a little bit on the ground. But honestly, guys, the offensive line right now, it looks like a unit. That's part of the running issue, is a major part of it, is the offensive line looks like it's lacking continuity, specifically, not in the pass blocking game, we had our issues, but more in the run game. The run blocking game is where the Cowboys really are off. The timing is off. The combo blocks are not clean. And why did this happen, baby? I'll tell you why. The Cowboys were stupid about waiting until the last minute to put the rookies in the starting lineup. So, again, because we waited for the rookies, we had to wait till like middle of training camp to get the rookies flowing, and Cooper Beebe didn't really get to do anything until like in camp over and over again as a center until halfway through training camp. Guiding came in there only because Chuma Edoga. So instead of working these guys in the OTAs into those starting spots, we started working them in the middle of training camp. And I think that's why the timing is off. The combo blocks are not clean. Waiting until the last second to get these rookies into the starting lineup is probably coming home with chickens coming home to roost and biting us in the ass. So to have two kind of two I don't know what you call those, cliche comments, 2 cliche remarks back to back for you guys. So yeah, I'm just being honest. I think that basically the Cowboys waited too long with the rookies to establish them in the starting lineup, and now things look a little sloppy. That's all. And that's what I'm going to leave it at. So hopefully that will, I hope that in time that will help the running game gets going a little better when we get the blocking a little bit better for Dak and for the running game. But
yeah, we
got to use our guys better schematically to help them out. And that goes to the coordinator, Schottenheimer, and it goes to Mike McCarthy to use these guys properly. Deuce Vaughn should be in space when you use him as a running back. Zeke should run the hard yards. Regal can kind of do the inside outside. You can use him more, as an all around kind of back. You can't just put them all doing the same thing no matter who's in the game. That's bad coaching. I hope they're not doing that, because if they do, the Ravens will make us look like you see on the screen. We'll be on our backs like the Saints put us, and the Ravens will be stepping on us. So hopefully we get to ravage the Ravens this weekend. That's the hope. We'll talk more about this and more about matchups to watch and the keys to victory on Friday right here on My Cowboys Family. If any major news breaks between now and then, we will go live. Until then, we will see you then. Now, we're done with our news portion. A little over 2 hours in here. Let's wrap it up, baby, with some quick shout-outs, some comments with the shout-outs, and some good nights here. And last words.
So, shout-out Luis Ortiz saying almost every major favorite last week either didn't win or didn't cover last week.
Very
true. It just looks funny to me. Yeah, it's very funny. But not the ha-ha funny kind, unfortunately for us. So, Raul representing saying, hard to think the Ravens could go 0-3. This is going to be a tough game. Yeah, that's one of the bigger reasons I'm concerned, because they genuinely have much more to lose starting their season 0-3 than we do starting our season 1-2. So, but we'll see. Jetly44, always go Cowboys, much love. Jarrett Jones. So, let me see. Yeah, he talked about the pickle juice game there for a bit. You probably were there when pickles were invented. We have Ramesh. Shout out to you, dropping those emojis. Juan Carlos representing it here as well. Kenneth Mackey, always go Cowboys. Asmodeus, much love to you. A big mahalo to the man Marco Seppi.
Hell yeah.
Jeff Coughlin, hello and hi. Of course, Frame Rippers, a.k.a. Voodoo Alpha, a.k.a. Alexander Moreno.
A.k.a.
We have Champy. Let me see. Aztec Aguilar 04. Let's see who else is here. Asmodeus representing it. Mr. Seabass, what's up? And yes, I agree. The focus is not Dak Prescott.
I mean, he needs to play better, but yeah, focus is a lot deeper than that in Dak.
Let me see. GM, have a great night. But yeah, that brings us to the end here. So guys, thank you so much for hanging with us, chilling with us. Let me do the shout outs here one last time for the people representing on the board, like Chill Pill.
Yeah.
Not just the sponsor of the week, also the membership gifting queen.
You'll see her name pass through above there, because right now Jet Li 44 is currently leading this week's gifting leaderboard, but the gifting champion, the gifting queen. What did I do wrong?
You just
No, I said that the Chill Pill is the gifting champion. You'll see her come across.
You actually said Jet Li.
I know, because Jet Li was showing on the screen because he's the leader this week on the gifting board.
No, he's
the leader this week on the gifting board, but the champion is Chill Pill. She's the one repping the board this week. He's the leader currently. He dropped the gifted. Yes, it was the first drop of the week, I guess you can say, was Jet Li's gifted membership. So much love to him in first place on that side of the board. And also, I just wanted to cover both of those. I wanted to make sure we covered both the champion, which is the great Chill Pill, who's not just a sponsor of the week, but the gifting champion. And yes, Jet Li, who is currently leading on that gifting leaderboard. But Jet Li's not done there, baby. You know that, right? Jet Li is also the king of the Cash App and the leader of the Cash App for this week. He dropped 3 and change. He's in the lead. That's all it takes. Now, don't forget the last name, but the great name, Marco Seppian. He's got 86 points. He was down like 40. He's up to 86 points in the stream boss, and look right above that. Marco Seppian currently in first place, all by himself in front of Calvin Richard, Jet Li, and the others. Marco Seppian leading this board, trying to get that sponsor of the week and that weekly winner. Membership raffle bonus pick. Why not, right? I also want to shout out Daniel Berry Sports Highlights, but this is more for the After Dark. That's going to that side of things, not this side of things. I don't think Daniel Berry was in the chat, so I think he's waiting for us over on the After Dark session. So that's 2 over there. That means I'm 8 away from a shot over there, just so you guys know. But we'll be rolling over there in about half an hour. Oh, I will be. I just want to make sure we shout everybody out. Marco Seppian, Jet Li, and the great Chill Pill. They're running the boards, whether now or leaders.
Much love to the man, the Lunatic, in the house here as well.
The Lunatic.
This was an ugly week.
The Lunatic's repping things, and he's dropping the facts. Much love to the Lunatic. I also want to give a shout out to everybody who dropped the love tonight. Jet Li 44, Skeptical Fan, Brandon J, Calvin Richard, and again, like I said, Mark Hope Seppian. Big man here in first place currently. On that note, guys, it is time to finally shut it down. 2 hours and 15 minutes. We knew it was going to be a long one. We're only doing this twice a week, and then, of course, our game day live stream. So 3 times a week, you're seeing and hearing us no matter what, here live, and then, hey, you may get a bonus one here and there. Full with shorts, of course, throughout the week, and maybe in a video or two. Of course, you also got the After Dark sessions, which start now. You got to go over to those channels, though. Subscribe and hit that notification bell. Very important. One-time viewing, you can't rewind them. On that note, here on my Cowboys Family main channel, as we wrap it up, baby, let them know why we do this each and every week, multiple times, and each and every game for 8 seasons. Why do we do this, baby?
It's that navy blue, that silver too, and that star over everything.
Yeah. You know the deal here. Win, lose, or draw, good, bad, or ugly on this channel. We always, on MCF, we always rep that star over everything. And of course, 7 years fully on YouTube, into our 8th season. Here on My Cowboys Family, never forget the number one thing here, now, and forever. As always, never forget. Go Cowboys! Let's get that 6 and beyond, although right now, let's just get that second win. We need that second win and beyond. How's that? Thank you guys for dropping your knowledge in the chat all night long. 2 hours plus. Thank you guys for dropping the love from above. Cannot do it without your love and support on that side. And now it's a wrap here on My Cowboys Family as we clock out and drop out of here for the night before we can relock and reload for Friday's Fan Friday and preview show of how we're going to beat these mofos from Baltimore. Before we can officially drop out of here for the night, baby, let them know what we got to do.
We got to drop the beat.
Oh, yeah. That beat's been dropped. It's a wrap here on My Cowboys Family. Once again, truly appreciate everybody here watching. Anybody who's stopping by on the replay, make sure you hit that like and comment down below. You could throw a thanks in there as well if you want to, and we'll read your comment out here with your thanks, attached to your thanks, live on stream on Friday. On that note, guys, thank you. You could be anywhere. You're here watching us talk about our Cowboys, but at least we get through this Saints game and turn the page for the Ravens. Watch for Ferguson on the injury report and a couple other guys. We should be pretty good. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Thank you guys for joining us for all the news, info, and updates on our Dallas Cowboys here on My Cowboys Family for another Cowboys chat. Hell yeah. The recap, unfortunate loss. Fortunately, we're moving on to the Baltimore Friday, and we'll be talking about that and the Sunday big game against the Ravens on Sunday in Dallas on our Fan Fridays next show here on My Cowboys Family. Here in MCF, it's about that navy blue, that silver too, that star for everything, but never forget the number one reason we can do this in the nightly. It's you guys. Thank you guys for being here, chilling, and hitting that like for the stream, subscribing to the channel, hitting that notification bell to all videos so you know when we're going live. You can also know when we're going live through Discord. Follow us there in the Discord. The link should be in the description, and also on X, Twitter. Follow us at My Cowboys Family. Thank you all, guys. Stay safe. We'll see you Friday. Truly stay safe. Have a good next couple of days. And we'll talk some Baltimore Ravens on Fan Friday. Peace out, and never, ever forget. We'll see you on After Dark, MCF After Dark. And never forget, Go Cowboys!
Monk on the beat.